I like Godzilla. Godzilla's really cool. He's a cool
Um,
dude.
I'm not sure about this whole Godzilla guy, but there's this one monster named Gigantus. I very much enjoy him. He only has one movie out, and it is comparable to like Godzilla, but like that Godzilla guy is fake compared to Gigantus.
Well, Gigantus doesn't have any Atari Pipeworks games, so
Well,
I
you know
can't really
what?
want him to.
Godzilla doesn't have a single good rival, and that rival is Anguirus.
Hey guys, welcome back to the next KenshinCast. This is episode 4, and in today we have a very special guest. We have Gojirex joining us in today's podcast discussion.
That's right. Hello. As he said, I'm Gojirex, also known as Zach, and I am the lead developer of Godzilla Save the Earth Melee, which ties in nicely to our main topic of the Godzilla Pipeworks trilogy. But I'll let CJ do that introduction later.
Yeah, no, it's perfect, and yeah, we're really happy that you wanted to join the podcast for this. When we came up with some of the ideas, we're like, yeah, we definitely need to get Gojirex in here because obviously Godzilla Save the Earth Melee is like the big thing going on right now, and in terms of the gaming community, and so we needed someone who, of course, you was like the best option for it. So, and then I think it's great too because Nico has some different opinions in terms of the Atari Pipeworks trilogies than I do as well. So it'll be interesting to see how your opinion is, Gojirex, going through this whole thing. And basically at the end of this, we'll just figure out which is like the best game out of the whole trilogy. And then you guys can decide in the comments and you can tell us which one is your favorite. So but yeah, pretty much first off, before we get on, let's introduce Gojirex here. He is our new guest for the episode. So just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and definitely let the audience know about Godzilla Save the Earth Melee and how amazing this thing is going to be.
All right, cool. Well, for anyone that's watched the interview that me and CJ did a few weeks back, they'll know that I am primarily a fan of the Godzilla games first. That was my introduction to Godzilla, and that's kind of what I hold the most near and dear to my heart, even over the movies. So I have some very like I have some very strong opinions about the game, but I mean, they're not too strong. Like I like them all, and I dislike aspects of all of them as well. So I'm sure that this will be a very friend ruining heated debate today. But um, well, Godzilla Save the Earth Melee is an ongoing project that we've been doing for almost a year and a half now, and basically all it really does is aim to bring all of the aspects that I do like from the Pipeworks games, all three of them, into one singular game using Save the Earth as a base. And originally it just was meant to be a simple remaster, and then it kind of turned into like different balancing, and now it's evolved into essentially an entirely different game that's unrecognizable. And yeah, that's essentially it.
Yeah, and you guys can. I'll post a link into the description below that you can watch the interview that I did with Gojirex, and he gives a lot of cool insights on the development of it, and also just some cool like little exclusive tidbits of information. So definitely go check that interview out. Go support him on. They have a Discord, a very very vibrant Discord. A lot of people in there, just constantly awesome people to talk to about the games and how the progress is going.
Like casually follow the project, see how development's going, join either the Discord or Twitter, and you'll get pretty much everything. So
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, go check it out, guys. This project is amazing. I cannot wait for more updates and for when this thing actually comes out. It's going to be really freaking cool. But unfortunately, we don't have the game yet, so we have to talk about the games that we do have, and that is the Godzilla Atari Pipeworks Trilogy games. We have Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee, which was 2002, I believe. That was on the GameCube and Xbox. And then came out, in the middle, actually. I don't want to forget about the spin-off. So we did actually have 2 portable spin-off games. One was Godzilla Domination on the Game Boy Advance, which a lot of people, I think, forget or overlook at least. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, at least from my experience. But then after that, we got Godzilla Save the Earth, which most people consider to be the best out of the trilogy. I would have to disagree, but we can get into that later. And then that was also on the Xbox and PS2. Unfortunately, did not get a GameCube port, which is weird. I don't know why that didn't happen, but maybe Gojirex, maybe you know why. I don't know. And then we got Godzilla Unleashed, which is probably the most infamous game out of the whole trilogy. Probably the most ambitious one, but some love it and some hate it. And then also for that game had its little portable companion as a Double Smash, which not really fan favorite, I don't think so. But anyways, so let's start. Gojirex, since you're the guest here, let's start with you. Out of this whole trilogy, which game, just off the top of your head, is like the one that you always want to go back to? Like you can always replay it. It's never gets old. It's just a classic to you.
Oh, definitely Double Smash. Yeah, that's always been my go-to game. I stay up till 1 a.m. under my covers on my DS playing Double Smash every night. No, I would have to say Destroy All Monsters Melee is the best. Just
yes.
Mechanically, in terms of atmosphere,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of fun, how smooth it feels. I think it's Destroy All Monsters Melee. I can definitely see the argument to be made for Save the Earth, but I think a lot of it stems from people not really having played them recently, because most people view Save the Earth as, oh, it's just Destroy All Monsters Melee, but it has like 8 extra characters,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not just Destroy All Monsters Melee. It's very mechanically different, even though they look pretty much like the same game and they run in the same engine. But I'm gonna have to go with Destroy All Monsters Melee as the best.
Yeah, Nico, I think I remember what your favorite is.
So actually, a lot has changed since then.
Really?
So if we're talking about like strictly, I obviously Godzilla Save the Earth has a lot of nostalgia for me. That is my first ever Godzilla game that I've ever possessed in my, that I've ever had. I played a lot of it. But since then, I have matured as an adult, and I've found quality into the finer things of older Godzilla games. Actually, I'm gonna go with Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee.
Woo!
Actually,
you guys are making me so happy right now.
So actually, like in turn of everything, I found myself playing Godzilla Save the Earth, just a couple weeks ago, and I did not find it very enjoyable actually, or as enjoyable as I thought I once liked it, and I couldn't really pick up the reason why. And then I actually continued to play. I picked up Destroy All Monsters Melee, and there was just this like instant gratification. Like this was what I remember. I got that same feeling where I was playing Godzilla Save the Earth through Destroy All Monsters Melee. But we'll get deeper into detail later. But I have to say that Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee.
Oh, I'm loving
the
it.
Movement is spreading.
I'm loving the love for Damn. It's great. It is great to see. I'm Destroy All Monsters Melee. That by far. It was the first Godzilla game I ever picked up on the good old GameCube. I remember I had to save up my allowance to go to a GameStop to pick it up. Actually, at the time, I think it was still EB Games. And I remember being super excited, just like back then when games were $50 instead of $60. And actually when they were complete when you would buy them. Isn't that a thing, right? That's doesn't happen anymore. But I remember getting it and bringing it home, and I just one of the first things I remember mostly was getting hung up on Megalon. It was the second battle in adventure mode. I was playing in Godzilla 90s, and then I'd get to Megalon, and I would always get stuck on him because he would do the burrow attack, and I just never knew how to defend myself against that until I, grew up and learned some more skills with it. But I just remember that one being like one of the toughest fights. But and then like seeing Mechagodzilla at the end, like as the final boss, like that was just really cool to see. So yeah, I mean, like you guys have said, it's just mechanically the game just feels the best out of like all of the games, and I there's just something about, and I think especially on the GameCube version, like it has, I'm pretty sure it runs at 60 frames, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
So it's a smooth game. Yeah, I mean textures aren't that great. I mean, yeah, if you want something that looks a little better, the Xbox version is definitely an upgrade, but I don't think the Xbox version actually runs as well as the GameCube. I could be wrong on that. I haven't touched the original Xbox version in a very long time, but yeah, and so with that, yeah, let's talk about, I guess the first thing we can talk about to go over quickly is just kind of like the story in these games. They're not really existent most of the time. I mean, especially for Destroy All Monsters Melee, it's your general like aliens come to, invade Earth, and that's really it. But we do get a new race, like a new alien race that was introduced. So the Vortak is like the new alien race people. So they didn't use the the Keylok or the what are they, I don't know why I'm forgetting the other guys, the more famous ones, Exilians. Yeah, like they didn't use those guys, which was interesting, but maybe there were some rights issues or something. But I think it was cool that they actually created their own like alien race to do that. So yeah, I mean, what did you guys think in terms of storyline? Like, obviously, the games don't necessarily connect with each other. I know that there are some threads that do connect them in a way. Like, especially when I went through my retrospective series of the games and going through Wikizilla's articles, when you actually look at the story synopsis, you actually do see that there are some connecting threads between each game, but they're so like minuscule. Like, it's not apparent. Like, if you skip one game, it's not like you'd miss out like a huge plot or whatever going on. But what did you guys think of like the overall plot arc, I guess, in all three of these games? Gojirex, let's start with you.
Well, that's what these games are known for, right? Is their
Right, that's why this is a tough
storyline.
one.
Yeah. I do think there is something to be said for simplicity. Because my favorite story out of the three is Destroy All Monsters Melee, because it doesn't take itself seriously at all.
Yeah.
It knows that it's essentially like the kind of story that an arcade fighting game would have. Very simple, very basic, like not even your strongest monster could defeat us. Like
Very cheesy.
it's yeah, it's cheesy like on purpose, and I
Yeah.
like that. And Save the Earth was like a little more serious in tone, but essentially the same overall structure aside from the challenges. And then Unleashed is where that they tried.
Yeah.
They really tried with that one, and that is still to this day pretty damn impressive. Unleashed story mode is still pretty impressive, and it's like adapting faction system and different levels to pick from. I think that's the best part of Unleashed for me is the story, and I think that's probably the only one with like a genuinely good story.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean a good narrative. I don't think it's a good narrative. I
Yeah.
just mean like a good story mode. I think
Yeah.
Unleashed is,
Entertaining enough, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. Nico, what do you think?
I'm actually gonna go with Godzilla Unleashed. I can replay through that story, a lot, and what Gojirex said. Do you mind if I call you? Would you prefer me to call you Gojirex or your real
You
name?
can call
Or
me that, or you can call me Zach. It
all
doesn't
right,
really
all right,
Or Kevin.
or Kevin.
Inside
Yeah.
joke.
all
Inside
right,
joke with
all
that.
right. I'm very personable, so that's why I asked. Anyways, just like what Zach said, I'm actually gonna roll with Unleashed. They really took a swing there, and I appreciate that because in the sense of things, you could be Godzilla and then choose your own direction. You can be a mutant, and if you went so far as to be above like 75% of the threshold of mutants, they no longer see you as a threat. Like they do not fight you. That is impressive to me for a Godzilla game that has just been like, okay, we'll take you stage by stage. You're gonna fight all these monsters whether you want to or not. And the whole allied system was really good in the game. And and even in the end, where let's say you do pick, let's say we'll pick like Kiryu. if you decide to take all the crystals, you're a mutant and everyone's against you.
Yeah.
I think that's a great feature too. You can get multiple different endings where you could kill either Space Godzilla or you become rogue and you basically destroy all the planet or take over the planet, whatever that storyline was. And it could go multiple different avenues. Like, I remember you had to destroy a building just to fight Biolante.
I remember that unlockable. Yeah.
I thought that was incredibly cool.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say that is very underwhelming is the introduction to the two new original characters, Obsidian and Isolak. Very poor. I always wish they did a lot more with that. There was more involved with Biolante than the two original characters that they were really pushing for. And I'm actually upset that they didn't feature Batra in the Wii version, but we'll get to that later. I'm sure we'll cover that. But anyways, that's my standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah. The game's stories, I mean, Destroy Monsters Melee is very simple. It's very simplistic. It's very Showa-ish, I'd say. It's Godzilla going up against monsters. And I love the intro, though, with the Vortak guy, just, we're attacking your planet and no one can stop us. And then he's like, okay, and you go back to whatever you're doing.
Yeah, we call him Vortak.
Yeah. And then I just like, he's like, waiter, are we still on? Gosh, you idiots, and he like shuts it off. Like I really like the comedy to it. And then like Save the Earth, they definitely had this like, okay, let's try to make it a little more serious. Like Vorticia's being like very menacing. They didn't even have the other guy come back. Like it was just now the queen of the Vortak or something. And just her overall, like, I don't know, aura, just how she was very, villainous, and it was cool. And I like, though, the theme, I guess, the setting in Save the Earth, how the main menu is like in this submarine, you're monitoring Godzilla, you're part of the G-Force, and like I just like how the main menu was interactive, or it was like in the submarine, like you go to different sections, and just the way that they made it was a cool, like, dynamic menu to make it work, rather than just like the way Unleashed did it, where it was just panels sliding in and out. Destroy Monsters Melee had really good ones, but that's straying away from story. But Unleashed definitely had a very ambitious thing. I've always been lukewarm with the story on Unleashed. I think it had. I'm always the one that says that it had so much more potential, and I feel like because of the limitations of the Wii, it had to sacrifice so many things. I remember watching those old, like, do you guys remember like Godzilla Unleashed had that website that they would update constantly? It was like the Super Smash Bros. Brawl website back in the day. Like every day they would upload like some new tidbits, or a new character would be revealed. Like they had this one screen where they would show all the monsters, but they'd be like blacked out until they would be revealed. And so I remember every day coming home from school and like being so excited to see like what's new with Unleashed. I see all these developer diaries from Simon Strange talking about like, like there'll be dynamic things of monsters coming in while you're playing, and that didn't necessarily happen. I mean, sometimes there are randomized like battles, but most of the time it's very scripted. It isn't as free flowing as they would have wanted it to be. And I guarantee that if it was on the Xbox 360 or PS3, it would have had so much more like awesomeness to the campaign. I feel like it just would have had more dynamicness to it. But I mean, for what they tried to do, I mean, I guess for what they did on the Wii, it was impressive. Like there really wasn't a game like that, I would say, at least, let alone a fighting game like that on the Wii when it did come out. But I always feel like there was so much more to be desired with that campaign, that I was always left just kind of like, okay, that was all right. But I do wish there was more to it. But so with that, I'd say, so I guess we're pretty much ranking, I guess Unleashed probably takes the number one spot, though, for the story. I mean, I would agree with that, at least, because it does have a lot going for it. So
I think it's the most, it's definitely the most ambitious, even if it doesn't meet all the marks. But that's sort of the story of Unleashed anyway, and we'll get into that.
Exactly, yeah. So I guess the next easy thing to tackle would be music. Music has, for me, music's really important with like just everything, really. I think music drives most art in like, I guess in a visual way, like video games or TV shows or movies or anything like that. Like I think music is very important to give a game its own identity. And with these three games, I mean, the composers did not like they were not lazy with it. Like they went in and they'd made like a really banging soundtrack for all these campaigns. Even the spin-off games. I'll even admit Double Smash had a pretty I wish we could get uncompressed versions of those audio files. Like I really think that would be cool to hear like really clean audio of those tracks, because they're very bit crushed. They're like especially the GBA, the Domination ones. Like I don't know if there's any clean versions out there if that was released or not. But so the soundtracks I feel were very integral to these games. Let's see, Zach, let's start with you again. Which game do you think had the best soundtrack?
I think it's Destroy Monsters Melee.
Okay.
But it is a very tough question because Unleashed also has an amazing soundtrack, but
Yeah.
it's very different in vibe.
Yeah.
It services its own like they both service their own game and the tones that they're going for really well. And Unleashed has a lot more. But there is something about Destroy Monsters Melee's very arcadey, over the top, like it's like orchestral rock, and it's
Yeah.
perfect. Like it is absolutely perfect. And I mean, I know every single note of like all the songs, even if I like that was even before I got like really involved with these games. If they were
Right.
just from my childhood, and I could listen to those soundtracks, and I they stuck with me. I can't say the same about Save the Earth at all. I think that is a tragic soundtrack, and Unleashed is it's close. Unleashed is also really good, but it doesn't reach that same level that I think Destroy Monsters Melee does, at least for me.
Nico?
I'm actually gonna go with Godzilla Unleashed. I'm actually gonna go with that. I even to this day I can, and it's similar in your situation, Zach, where you can literally hear the soundtrack of Destroy Monsters in your head.
It's
I
right
can,
now.
yeah, I can literally hear the Godzilla Unleashed like main menu music
Of course, yeah.
with all the guitars in the background. Oh, it's just it really fits the tone of what Godzilla Unleashed is. And you're right. This is like a really difficult decision to make because same thing with Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee, where the arcade it fits the arcade style. The music it fits that game. You can say the same thing about Godzilla Unleashed. I just think Godzilla's Unleashed soundtrack sticks out a little more. Aside from well, no, I'm contradicting myself, but I do think Godzilla Unleashed soundtrack definitely sticks out a little more, for sure. Uh,
What are your guys' opinions on the mobile or the portable games?
Well, Godzilla Unleashed Double Smash has a banging soundtrack.
Yeah.
That
Technish.
is
It's like
100%. Even people that despise that game will admit that it has a really good soundtrack. And Domination is very similar. That's also like a really good soundtrack as well. And we could talk a lot more about Double Smash because
we will.
I'll save my opinions on that for later.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are, I don't know, those are really good. I think that they're both banging, but obviously much different scope of game.
Yeah. Then Nico, do you have any thoughts on them?
I really don't have any opinion on both like companion games with those because first of all, I don't have any experience with Domination. I don't have any experience with that.
You never played it?
I've never played it.
Wow. Okay.
I was part of like that 2000. I was part of that 2006. So I had the Game Boy. What's the like smaller Game Boy?
Game Boy Micro?
No, it's not.
SP.
It's like the SP. Is that?
I think that's what it is. The Game Boy SP.
Yeah, I was part of the Game Boy SP generation. So I did. So like obviously I had Saved the Earth on my PlayStation 2, and that was my first introduction to it. So I really had no idea there was games for a companion game for Destroy All Monsters Melee, and once again that came out at a later date too. I actually got my Xbox after I played Save the Earth on my PlayStation 2. So as for as for Double Smash, I was very young when I played that game. I remember going into a fit of rage about it, like screaming, literally screaming at the game. So, and I did not play it ever since then because I refused to play it. And will that change? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I just remember being so unbelievably upset about it, and I did not pay attention to any of the music. So that will be that to hear you guys, praising it so much. I will have to go back and listen and find the soundtrack
Yeah, at
somewhere, or
least go
just
to
play the game.
well, go to YouTube. Go to we're going to give a shout out to Super Godzilla Gaming. He posts like the soundtracks. I think actually has a secondary channel, Super Godzilla Music. I'm pretty sure that's his secondary channel where he posts all the like soundtracks of these games. He has soundtracks of like literally every Godzilla game. It's amazing. And he also even has like Gamera 2000 on like the PlayStation, which I know it's really random, but like that game actually has really good soundtrack too. But yeah, just go to his channel and he has like the whole soundtrack on there. Just give it a listen. Like put it on in the background, like when you're studying or maybe not when you're studying, that'd be distracting. But like if you're playing like just casually playing like a multiplayer game or something, just put that on the background. It's like it's really like good hype music. But yeah, so also with Domination, Nico, I do recommend it. Get like an emulator or something. Get like the Game Boy emulator and just play it on your PC. Yeah, you should try it out. It's a fun little like if you've ever played what was that game? King of Monsters or something on the Super Nintendo. It's a lot like that. It's like a kind of top-down 2D weird kind of view, but it's just a beat 'em up. Like that's really all it is. So yeah, no, but I actually agree with Nico. The Unleashed soundtrack I think is the best out of the whole trilogy, and that's coming from me as a huge Destroy All Monsters Melee fan. But there's just something about the rock parts, and it's probably just the metal guy in me, the heavy metal guy in me, is that those tracks are just so freaking good. There was actually a time when for those of you who don't know, like I actually have a little bit of drumming experience. Like I actually do love playing the drum set, and so I remember actually putting on, I had my electric drum set a long time ago, and I would hook up my phone to the drum set or whatever, and I'd actually play the soundtrack of Godzilla Unleashed and play to it. And I'm not like 100% expert or whatever, but I feel like I can actually kind of nail those tracks because they are very simple in their patterns and the drum beats, but like I get so into it, like especially when I think it's Jet Jaguar's theme, like when that one plays, like it's just the beats. Morgera's theme actually, that one also is like probably my favorite one. But I just love the heavy metal aspect of it. And then what I like is how each faction has a different like theme for the music. Like the Earth Defenders have this very noble but like very very classic kaiju-esque sound, like very Akira Fukube like inspired sound. Then the GDF has the metal, which makes sense because metal. And then mutants have this very like scary
like horror.
Yeah, it's like a horror track kind of sounding thing. And the space, obviously it's very like space sound, like Star Warsy a little bit. So that I think helped the game a lot. What didn't help the game though was the fact that the tracks were dedicated to each monster. So like each monster had a theme, which is good on paper, but when it actually comes to playing the game, if you fight the same monster, you'll actually hear the same music again and again. It's not randomized, so that actually can get a little annoying. But yeah, Destroy All Monsters Melee though, that had a really awesome soundtrack too. By the way, is another shout out for Save the Earth Melee. They're remaking some of the tracks from that in it, and you can look it on YouTube, and it's I'm in heaven. My ears are just like, it's bliss. It's amazing. So it makes me feel like a kid again when I listen to those revamped tracks. But and who's the composer, Zach?
That's Zane.
Okay.
Zane Goen. Yeah.
Okay.
So he makes some banging tracks, and he actually just reached 45 tracks for the game.
Wow. Shit.
Yeah, I think we've only released like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
But yeah, that dude's a monster. Yeah.
Yeah. And are you guys, so there's also like Destroy All Monsters Melee tracks, but are there also Save the Earth tracks being revamped, or is it just like
we had a lot of discussion about it, and we kind of just came to the conclusion that even if Zane graced them with his cover, it would still like the best Save the Earth song
Still drab. Still
would
not.
be the worst Save the Earth Melee track.
Oh wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of what we concluded. Like there aren't very many that are. I mean, this is because this is something that we could talk about with the whole Save the Earth
Yeah.
soundtrack, but there aren't any that are just stick out.
That's what I was
All
going to talk about too. Like
yeah,
Save the Earth soundtrack is very drab. It's like
yeah,
it's good, but it's not. It feels less energetic. It's very low.
There's for someone who this was his first Godzilla game, and I hold like a lot of nostalgia with it, a lot of my memories hold with it. I do not remember a single song from that game. Period.
Just like the main menu is like the one that stands out, obviously.
Yeah.
But
all the music feels like ambience.
Right.
Like it's more. It feels more diegetic, I guess. Like it's very ambient music. It's not hard hitting. It's not memorable in any capacity. I mean, I do find myself sometimes humming like a piece from one or two of the soundtracks, but when it comes to like adding Save the Earth or like I guess covering Save the Earth tracks, there just weren't any that like we were like, wow, these all don't, none of these slap.
None of these slap.
None of these slap. Yeah.
All right, yeah. I guess connecting with that, we can also like a little bit of audio design. So other sound design in the games too. I mean, I can't really say much. I mean, it's good. You got the classic roars. You got stomping sounds, hitting sounds. I guess we can say like Destroy Monsters Melee has the best sound design. I would say maybe because chomping sounds and hitting sounds, just the impact of them, or maybe that's just the effects that they give us. Maybe it's like graphics. I don't know, but what do you guys think?
Nico's shaking his head.
I know. I'm wondering what he's thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think Destroy Monsters Melee in some areas is way better, but in other areas, I think the biggest issue that Destroy Monsters Melee has is its lack of clarity. Like the hit particles and the sound effects, like it's really difficult to tell if you've blocked an attack or not, just based on the visual and audio feedback. All the sound effects are kind of muddled together, and all the particles look the same. They're just different colors. Whereas in Save the Earth, even though overall the sound effects are less appealing to me, I can tell immediately what's going on. Like I think it's more well designed. But there's something about like Destroy Monsters Melee's boomy sound effects where like you hit Mechagodzilla and it sounds like
it's like an echo.
Yeah, like it sounds like a fridge just fell off of a cliff, you know. Whereas in Save the Earth Melee, it's like a high pitched, or Save the Earth Melee, Save the Earth, it's like a high pitched like ching sound. Like it's not the same. It lost a lot of that weight. I guess over audio clarity, but it's really difficult to say. I think I prefer Destroy Monsters Melee though.
What about you, Nico? You seemed very opinionated on this one.
Believe it or not, I'm gonna say Godzilla Unleashed.
Oh no!
I'm gonna say Godzilla Unleashed. I am. Yeah.
Oh no!
Listen. You brought up the idea of like, all the classic roars. I'm pretty sure Godzilla in '90s and Godzilla 2000 had the same exact roar, where there's definitely more.
No, they did. Yeah, Unleashed did better.
Unleashed definitely had more differentiation. When when the roars came into mind,
right?
And even then, I still remember it. Like when you tear down a large building, and you hear it collapsing, like it's there. It's all one solid sound.
Yeah.
As compared to like I believe it's from Destroy All Monsters Melee, where you kind of sure it's like, oh, you get one sound bite and that's it.
Right. It's more dynamic.
I think it's a little more attention to detail there. Again, but it has been probably it's been a while since I've touched really both Destroy All Monsters Melee and Unleashed. As compared to like Save the Earth, which I did play a couple weeks ago. I do think Save the Earth is kind of more of the same.
I'd say just overall audio department for Save the Earth just was not on the same level.
Yeah,
it just was not. Well, all I have to say with Unleashed's audio design is, do I have to remind you what it's like to play it in multiplayer with with multiple monsters hitting each other at the same time, and all of a sudden desync starts to happen, and then it's just like nonstop roars and hit sound effects, and you're like, what's going on? I mean, it's a mess. Like the audio gets glitched, and it's just like all of a sudden you hear Godzilla roaring like "Rrrt, rrrt, rrrt, rrrt." Like, I mean, I'm not the only one here, right? Like that
Listen,
has happened.
whoa. Listen, it is true to design. You're telling me if you saw four monsters constantly colliding each other, you see Mechagodzilla 2 doing his rapid little punch
That's
thing.
a problem.
You're telling me that
Yeah,
would be 50 roars going off at
yeah,
that
it's
point
to
in
simulate
time.
your
Yeah.
senses being
Oh
overwhelmed
god.
It is
by the amount of
realism at its
monsters in the
finest.
city.
I mean
Yeah,
I don't know. It just, I remember playing it, and it would just mess me up because just all these roars are coming like happening everywhere. And yeah, you're right. When Mechagodzilla does his like super quick like cartoony like attack, it just gets like a mess. But yeah, okay. Well, it sounds like there's kind of a divide with this one. I would have to go with the Strong Monsters Melee just because to me it's the most impactful. Kind of like what Zach was saying. It's the most impactful. Like the every time you hit a monster, it just feels good. Like I feel like the graphic, the like little flash effect that happens when you hit them, plus the sound effect, even though sometimes it might be hard to differentiate what's going on, it's still very impactful, and it like leaves it's just like, yeah, it's very meaty like punch, or whatever. But yeah, Save the Earth though, yeah, it just, I don't know, Save the Earth just didn't do good with the audio design. I think they really, something happened. I don't know. So okay, let's get a little bit more into the nitty gritty of these games. Before we talk about gameplay, because I know that's going to probably be a big segment, let's talk about the monsters. The roster. Any fighting game, any good fighting game is known for obviously its characters. So, yeah, Zach, let's start with you. Just overall, the trilogy. This can also include the spin-offs. What do you think of the overall rosters for these games?
it's really good. It encompasses, especially like if we're talking about Unleashed, it encompasses every era really well.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's really well represented. You have pretty much everyone that you could ask for. I think the only character that wasn't introduced where it's like it's egregious, they were never given a move set, is Hedera.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think that's the only one that sticks out where it's like you had the rights to him. You put him into Strong Monsters Melee.
Yeah, they
You were sitting
tried.
on those rights.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I totally buy the engine limitations.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could have just made a static model and it would have been totally fine. I think
Right.
that is the only one where I'm like, you should have added Hedera. I think you should have added Hedera over Varen, over King Caesar,
Yeah.
maybe over Titanosaurus. Like I think he's the big hole in the roster. But
Yeah. We'll get to
Save
him.
the Earth also, I think Save the Earth has a really solid roster. Destroy Monsters Melee is good for what it is. It's a lot of clones, and that was
Mm-hmm.
kind of planned out. They decided the 11 monsters that they wanted for Destroy Monsters Melee, they decided like right when they planned out the game, and they didn't change it. They were like, these are the ones that we can add. They're all very simple in body structure. There's a couple outliers like Anguirus and Rodan, and then all these characters can just be clones of each other, and it'll be really simple. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it works really well. Save the Earth has, I think, like the most solid roster in terms of just like, I don't know, for the time, like that was it. And then Unleashed went all out, and they have like 26 monsters or something crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too ambitious. I think that the development time spent on Crystalak and Obsidius could definitely have been spent on two other Toho monsters
For
that
sure.
people already love. It's a lot of development time that they spent. Um, Monster X, Hedera, those two come to mind. And as Nico brought up Batra as a clone,
Mm-hmm.
just even if he's completely identical to Mothra in every single way, I still think like him making him a PS2 exclusive was a little dumb. But
Yeah.
yeah, other than I think aside from Hedera, I'm really happy with what ended up being.
Cool. Nico.
Yeah.
Uh, let's just start off with this. I think the console exclusive monsters was ridiculous. I think it was really dumb. If you can't, like, I understand like previous generation and you have the Wii coming up and such, but Batra being a PS2 exclusive is just egregious. That is just why?
It was
Why?
random for sure.
It's not hard. And that's another part of that. I'm not going to get into that, but I do think I like Unleash's roster. I really do like it a lot. Uh, and that's not to say like all the other rosters like aren't good either. Like Melee had a great like starting cast
Mhm.
for the rest of the trilogy. What was to come for the rest of the trilogy? Save the Earth. I want to say Save the Earth had definitely the most playable monsters.
Yes.
Like playability, like you can pick up and you can, each monster have their own unique styles. Some of them were rather rough to play with. I think Space Godzilla is rather really hard to play with. Just because he's limited to like he has like 2 tail attacks, and then any other attack you do, it uses his energy bar.
Telekinesis, yeah. Or
Yeah, and then it uses the crystals and stuff, and it's a huge disadvantage. Mechagodzilla is also unbearable to play. I cannot play as Mechagodzilla, and that even goes to say if it's for Unleashed. Unleashed, I cannot play as Mechagodzilla. Unleashed is just this comes out of the controls.
Yeah.
I understand that. At the same time, though,
But it goes with it.
Yeah, like Mothra.
Oh
if you
god.
don't transform with Mothra like the first thing you like play it, you're just done. You're not gonna win. Why should I be swinging up and down and then she's fucking flying up in the air?
He's just doing the constant like, bruh.
Yes. What do you want me to do about that, man?
Yeah.
Like I can't
yeah.
do it. Like Titanosaurus, he's incredibly playable. Titanosaurus is very playable for me. And
That's a great moveset. Yeah.
And that's all I want is a playable character.
Yeah.
Orga, I think Orga is a crazy good character to use on Unleashed. I don't know if it's just like I think Orga is like the best character to use on Unleashed. I could be wrong.
I've never been good at playing as him actually.
It's good.
Do you mean, it's fun wise, like design wise, or like tier wise.
I think it's specific to a person. Like I think it's specific to me,
right?
Because
fun.
Like fun. Yeah. Because I just get to charging people, and his grab move, he just swings them around, and that's it. Like, yeah. I honestly, that's again something different. But yeah, I would say Godzilla Save the Earth definitely has the more playable characters than as opposed to like Unleashed.
Definitely quality over quantity with that.
Yeah.
To interject really quickly, I didn't bring this up, and I think it is really important. Even though Save the Earth doesn't have too many new monsters, Over Destroy Monsters Melee, it only has like 6 or 7. All of the returning characters got retooled. Like King Ghidorah and Mecha King Ghidorah and Destroy Monsters Melee had the exact same move set, except Mecha King Ghidorah had taser missiles. Now, like they played completely differently.
Yeah.
Just the 2 Godzillas, completely different move sets. So everyone got decloned. Unfortunately, in Unleashed, though, King Ghidorah and Mecha King Ghidorah back to being the exact same character.
Yep.
Mechagodzilla and Mechagodzilla 2, the exact same character. And that was just because they had to rebuild everything. But that I think definitely brings down Unleashed, even though it has more monsters. I think Save the Earth has like a solid roster of like 18 really well made monsters. And yeah, Megagearus is completely unplayable. A lot of them, especially due to like the mechanics of that game, like you cannot main a character in that game unless it's Godzilla or Orga or King Ghidorah. Those are the only characters that like you could theoretically main and do well with. Everyone else is just too volatile and weird.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think Destroy Monsters Melee had a good start. It was definitely a good promise. Yeah, the clone characters were something that was like, okay, that's I get it, your budget restrictions or something or whatever. But yeah, the problem I've seen over the years, I think it's starting to turn too, because I remember like when I started on the internet almost 10 years ago or something like that, everyone was more on Unleashed side because it just had more monsters. And I was always that guy who had to come out and say, I don't, just because you have the most monsters doesn't make it the best roster, because the majority of those monsters are unplayable because of those controls. Like, they're just not utilized well. There's no character that feels good to play. I mean, hell, even the main guys like Godzilla, and like with Orga and stuff like that, like they're still kind of tricky to control. Like, if you really wanted to master them and all, they would still take you a while. So like, Save the Earth definitely had the most solid core character roster. If only they played at a faster frame rate, it would be like perfect. It'd be perfection. But yeah, so I agree with that. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, what?
Some epic foreshadowing, if we do go into like controls and such. Megalon and We Unleashed.
I've never like played him that much. That's the other thing too. Because of the controls, I've never actually played all the characters in Unleashed, because some of them I just don't. I'm like, I'm not even gonna try. Like, most of the time,
Megalon's different. He's
yeah,
different. He's very different.
Yeah.
He is the best character. Like, tier wise, Megalon is 100% the best character. He's insanely broken. People think it's Destroya because of the horn katana,
right.
but yeah,
Wasn't
Megalon
Mechagodzilla
is
also kind of bugged
in
or
Save
something?
the Earth.
Oh, that was
Oh,
Save the Earth.
oh,
Okay.
Megaguirus in Save the Earth is a top tier and really awful to fight against because she
You know how to
flies
use.
above you the whole time.
Yeah.
You can't really grab her.
Yep.
That's fixed in Save the Earth Melee, by the way. She's part of the fight.
See, that's what we're saying. All this stuff, all the complaints we're saying is gonna be fixed in Save the Earth Melee, by the way. So it's gonna be great. So
Just throwing that out there.
just yeah. Yeah. So we talked about the characters now. I guess I'll throw this out too. I mean, in terms of the mobile games, I mean, it's fine. Domination, I'll say Nico, because I know you haven't played it. The characters feel the same. All of them really are like cloned characters. They're just different attributes. Maybe some hit harder than others, but really they're pretty much play the same. And Double Smash, that's all I gotta say. So it's really that.
Double Smash.
Yeah.
So definitely got the weirdest roster.
And like team ups and too, I don't know, because you have the top and bottom screens and everything, and I don't know.
Yeah, because there's ground monsters and flying monsters, and the flying monsters are really weird because you have like Final Wars Rodan, and you have Destroya as a flying monster.
Right.
He only flies.
Yeah, he doesn't go on the ground.
Hilarious. Yeah, because the Pipeworks series is known for having Destroya that cannot fly.
Right.
And then in that game specifically, all he can do is fly. I just think that's really funny. Yeah.
Who was his companion, by the way? Like, or who was under him? Like, or no, you can interchange him. I guess I forgot you could.
There was Godzilla, Gigan, Crystalak.
Yeah, it was a weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
I can't even remember the other two, but
actually, before we move on, I also wanted to talk about Crystalak and Obsidius. Those guys, Obsidius, I think, is one of the most generic monsters you could. When I researched these games, and I was looking at the other fan submissions, the like bug-looking guy and the lion dude with like the fire coming out of his head or whatever. Why was that not in? That's so much more unique and cooler of like kaiju designs than a lava monster, because we already got that guy. That guy was what was his name? Mag something in War of the Monsters. We already got like a lava based like monster. So it's just like Obsidius, I've always looked at it, just been like the most generic thing. He was also a clone character in the PS2 version of Orga. He had like the same moveset. So but Crystalak I always thought was a little more interesting, at least in terms of like design wise. He always reminded me, just because of the spike back, he kind of reminded me of like if Anguirus had a space version of him, like Space Anguirus. So, just because he has the spinning attack too and all that. But I mean, they're all right. I just think Obsidian should have been cut for the other submissions. Those other, like, you guys really have to look it up. Like, those other submissions are so much cooler than what Obsidius was. Crystalak can stay, he's fine. I mean, I guess he's unique enough, but I just can't stand Obsidian. And his roar, by the way, it's a stock Jurassic Park roar.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the Land Before Time Frank Welker
Oh,
sounds.
that's right. Yeah. So I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
it's
yeah.
that's to have a little aside. Have you guys seen the movie The Babadook?
Oh yes,
No.
yes, yes. I love
Okay,
that. I love that
so
movie.
that movie, it's really good. I was really enjoying it, and then towards the end, when you hear the Babadook's roars, it's those stock Frank Welker sounds, and I'm like, all I
Oh,
can hear is fucking
I
Obsidious.
don't
Like
remember
it
that.
ruined it for me. They have Obsidious's roars, and it really takes me out. It's
Oh, damn.
hilarious.
I
Just look
didn't
up like
remember that.
Babadook final.
Final
I
scene or
don't. It's like the
something.
climax of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man,
Um.
I don't remember that. I have to go back and watch that.
Yeah. It was.
Oh,
It really took me out of it.
It
I
sounds
yeah,
have.
that
freaky.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a lot of thoughts on Obsidious and Crystal Egg. I don't know how we got on the Babadook.
Because it reminded you of the roar.
Obsidious roar.
Oh, Obsidious's
Yeah.
roars. That's right. So the other monsters are cooler. All of them. Fire Lion, I
Yeah.
understand. He's kind of I guess he's a little too similar to Baragon and King Caesar.
Yeah.
But if you look at I do understand why Obsidious won. Because if you look at the concept art for all four of them and you take away the context of how Obsidious was implemented, Obsidious does look really awesome. Like he had the best concept art. He
Yeah.
looked so cool. Like
Yeah.
it looked like he was promised to have like a volcano opening mouth that would like spew magma and all this cool stuff. He looked really cool, like his concept art. And then in game,
It's,
he's
it's
kind of
nothing.
he's kind of a letdown, you
Yeah.
know. So I feel like if we had gotten the Visitor, who is a really interesting design,
Yes,
and then
that's
we
right.
had the context of if the Visitor won and it wasn't implemented well, then people would be like, "Oh, I hate that monster with the big stupid head," and they should have gone with like that lava one or like the lightning bug or whatever. Like I
Right.
feel like they were all equally weird,
Yeah.
and none of them looked like Godzilla monsters. That you were kind of doomed no matter who you picked. But
Right.
I think Fire Lion looked the most like a Showa
I
monster.
think he looked awesome. I love that
I
look of that character.
I think they should have just added Hedera.
Yeah, well,
But
that's true too. I mean, we could have just
yeah,
not done that and then just actually
yeah.
added more Toho monsters. Yes, of course, that would have,
Crystalite,
obviously.
I don't know. Crystalite just looks like a dude in a suit to me. He's got like a weird
Maybe that's what they were going
human
for.
skin texture. I guess I don't know. I don't like his design,
Yeah.
especially when you look at the concept art. Again, he had like a quadrupedal design where he was all purple and all made of crystals, and it's like that would have been a really cool character if it was implemented well.
I may
But
be wrong, but it also doesn't help that the monsters were the concepts were made by Matt Frank, right?
I'm not totally sure.
They look like his style. So I'm like, if it was, I'm basically what I'm saying is that, of course, Matt Frank's gonna make any monster look great in terms of like art. So
Oh yeah,
yeah, so if that was Matt
yeah.
Frank that did those concepts art, that did the concept art, I also could be confusing him with the colossal kaiju combat monsters because I know he did the concept for those ones, but
100%. I know he did that. Yeah.
yeah, but the long
The
lost
art,
cousin of
yeah.
this Atari Pipeworks trilogy that never got snuffed out.
It would. I think Obsidious that was and Crystalak. I think people. Well, I was gonna say people don't like them. I think people don't like them because of their execution, but I think now people are starting to warm up to them.
Hmm.
Because when it came out, I was like, I don't care about these monsters. I would refuse to play random because I would get them. You know, like these aren't Godzilla
The game
monsters.
knew. I was like, ah,
Yeah.
give him Obsidious, give him Crystal Lag.
So I wouldn't do that. But now that it's been like almost 15 years
15
since that
years, I
game
think.
came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
God, we're old.
Now that it's been that long,
Yeah.
Obsidious is a Godzilla monster. Crystalak is a Godzilla monster. He's now part of it in my head because he's been around for so long. He's part of
Yeah.
my childhood. So I think if someone were to come along and do something with either of them and just made them better and executed them to their fullest potential, I think that they could really shine. I think that there is something there. It was just an execution thing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um, Okay, yeah. Let's really get into it now. Gameplay, mechanics, the meat of these games that make them what they are. Um, so this is where it's going to be the tough one. Maybe, I don't know, depending on how our opening statements were. I'm not actually. It might actually be easy, but yeah. All the games I feel. I mean, all of them feel different. Of course, they all have different presentations. They have different feelings, different, I guess, objectives of what they were trying to do. But Zach, let's start with you. Like in terms of mechanics and all that stuff. I think we know, but what game did it best?
You might be surprised by my answer. I think that Save the Earth has like the strongest foundation in terms of gameplay. It was just a bunch of design decisions that held it back that Destroy Monsters Melee didn't have.
That's easy for you to say though because you're fixing them.
Yeah, I am because I know exactly what is wrong with Save the Earth. I
Mhm.
know it. I know that game inside and out far more than I know Destroy Monsters Melee. I just kind of took conceptual designs from Destroy Monsters Melee and stuff that you can do in Destroy Monsters Melee. I will say that playing Save the Earth now
Oh.
gives me nausea. I hate it, but I can still play Destroy Monsters Melee just fine. It's awesome.
Mhm.
So it's not real. Like you can compare everything and you can make all these arguments, but at the end of the day, Destroy Monsters Melee is just way more fun. There's something about its gameplay that's just way more fun.
Yeah.
So man, it's a tough call. If only there was another game that just combined all the
I
best
If
aspects.
only. I mean, if only there was just
Yeah.
some dev team out there with just this idea to just revamp these games into one and kind of make the fourth sequel that we've all been wanting. But I don't know if that'll ever happen. That's just,
Darn it! You both are so right.
We have to get on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, but no, I think Destroy Monsters Melee just had. I think in terms of like, one of the biggest things that draws to me was the unlockables, like the way you would unlock things, the way you'd play the game and progress through it, um, like Nico, like talk about the unlocking the gallery items, like how cool of a challenge that was.
You were asking the wrong person because I
You've
never finished
never
all
done
that.
that?
Oh,
You've never
no.
gone through the process of what?
No.
You haven't
Okay.
destroyed the buildings.
You forgot I grew up with Save the Earth.
That's right.
And Unleashed.
Yeah.
You forgot that I grew up with
So
those games.
that's
So
interesting.
I am pro microtransaction. Why did I make that two
Oh.
separate words? I don't know. But I am pro microtransaction.
So
Oh
okay,
no,
Nico,
no,
what
no,
does
no.
so since you aren't really a Destroy Monsters Melee player, what does the Atari power up do?
It's okay. Well, you get the
In your mind, like what does it do?
well, you get assistance.
Yeah, that's the airstrike power up, right?
Yeah.
And Destroy Monsters Melee, the Atari power up unlocked gallery items.
Oh.
Yeah,
It
so
was a
that's how you
fun.
there was
Yeah.
no credit system. The airstrike was just it was a Mothra logo. Isn't it? Yeah,
Like
that's
Mothra,
because that's
airstrike.
yeah. People are like, "What did the Atari power up do?" I thought it like
Yeah.
unlocked stuff. It's like, no, it's the airstrike.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's the airstrike can save the Earth, but it unlocks things and like Destroy Monsters Melee. The way that you unlock stuff is
It's
to this day the
organic.
best.
That's the best
Yeah.
way I like to describe it. Is it's an organic way of progression in a fighting game. Like the what I loved was the discover. It's like you like playing Super Smash Bros. Like it's the discovery of unlocking things as you play. So like I remember when I first played it, the game, and I was you play as Godzilla 90s. That's the first one you start out, and then you beat it, and all of a sudden you get the little text box at the end when it's showing the replay at the last battle, and it's like you unlocked a new monster, and you're like ooh, and you get like excited, and then you would then you'd see who you unlock because everyone's like blacked out in like a silhouette, and then you would actually see like them unlocked, and then like each character would like Godzilla 90s would unlock I think it was Godzilla 2000, right? Or it could be wrong on that. It's been a while since I've done the unlocking process, but each character has a designated monster they unlock, and what that creates is a really cool progression system because then they can do some really cool like hidden things because the only way to get Orga on the GameCube version is you play Godzilla 2000, but you have to play on hard mode. And then I think during his campaign, you actually fight Orga in the main lineup of the arcade ladder. So like that's just really cool there. And then I don't remember in the Xbox version because they had Kiryu. We didn't talk about that, the exclusivity with Kiryu in that one, but I think with Kiryu you had to play Orga on hard mode or something like that. I can't really remember,
I
but
think so, yeah.
Like that was just really cool. And then Nico, you have to experience getting the gallery items in Destroy All Monsters because it is such a fun side mission basically, because while you're going through the campaign or the arcade ladder, you can play it on normal, but the best way to do is play it on hard. And then basically what you got to do is you just got to like destroy buildings. And then when the buildings go down, all of a sudden the Atari symbol like starts to shine up. Most of the time it'll show up in buildings that are big skyscrapers. It's not just like any random building, but it is randomized each time. So it's not just like the same building you go for, but it's mostly like, I would say, big landmark buildings that it would show up. But once you would destroy the building and would crumble down, you would pick up the power up. Then at the end of the battle, you would see that same display box saying you unlocked a new gallery item. And then like the gallery items themselves were just so cool. Like I remember being as a kid just like looking at that stuff for like at least a good solid hour, just going through and seeing all the cool like concept art, cut things. Just, I remember one of the pictures was the dev team running away, like they had Godzilla in the background. Like that was really,
about to bring that up.
I really like
That's
that.
so charming, yeah.
So
And,
yeah.
And you brought up, so Orga was 100% a secret monster.
Because he wasn't even blacked out. He wasn't even on the roster at first.
He doesn't even have renders.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't in anything promotional. He was 100% secret, and that's awesome.
Which I guess makes sense. Like, he was still new at the time. I mean, not super new, but
and that's why there was no Kiryu.
Yeah, exactly.
The movie wasn't out yet.
Yep.
And like looking back on Destroy Monsters Melee, it's weird to think like they have all these Heisei designs.
Yeah.
And they were all like 4 years old at that point.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. Like, this is like if they made a Final Wars game in like 2006.
Right. But if you think about it though, the Heisei series in the early 2000s was like the look of Godzilla in Japan. I mean, it was like the Heisei design has stood the test of time until Shin Godzilla came out. Now I think it's always Shin Godzilla, depending on like what it is. But like the Heisei look was like still very popular, so it makes sense that they would kind of use a lot of those similar styles, I guess, to move over to the characters. But yeah, no, it is funny how they did that when they could have used a lot more. Maybe 2002. So you had, GMK and that Mothra. Although Mothra, you did have the GMK look in Domination. That was the skin that she had. So she actually had her GMK look. I don't know about King Ghidorah. I don't think King Ghidorah had his GMK look in the Domination game, but I can't remember. But
I don't.
Yeah. But is there anything else on Destroy All Monsters? Like, obviously, gameplay wise, the game feels nice and smooth. What, Nico?
All right. So if we're talking about, are we going through each game or just what? Or
let's go through each game. Yeah, we'll like do a comprehensive look at right now. We're just talking about Destroy All Monsters, so that way we don't have to like go back and forth. We'll just focus on one game at a time.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I think I agree with basically everything you said, both of you. So
it's a very replayable.
Yeah. Oh, incredibly replayable.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
I think it's the most replayable.
Like the main menu, that looks cool. Like just the way the style, the flames, and just the rocky texture work of it. Yeah, it's nice.
And at higher levels of play, like at G-Fest, the game has, I think, the most fun flow. Like Save the Earth matches will last for 6 minutes or 7 minutes if you're playing them optimally and you're camping and you're getting all the items. And then Unleashed matches just never end.
Yeah, they
never
because of the cells.
End.
Oh my god, I have opinions on that. Oh.
What makes my experience with Destroy All Monsters Melee, and I'll get to it with another game that we were talking about, but I'm a glass cannon. I am all offense and no defense. So I am constantly charging. I do not block. I do not evade.
Block either.
I brutally take every single hit. I'm like, it's okay. We'll
If
hit
I
that
could
twice
just
as
learn
hard.
how to block.
And then someone actually blocks. I'm like, you son of a bitch! You blocked. I'm like, you can't do that. You can't do. You're not allowed to do that. I don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. And then it's just oh my gosh. But yeah, I'm a glass cannon, so that my build matches perfectly with Destroy All Monsters Melee with how like fast paced it is. I love the pace of the game. The pace of the fighting in that game
Yeah.
is amazing as compared to
Sometimes
Same
matches will last for literally 35 seconds.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can just take someone out super quick. Yeah.
Well, it's
Oh.
because like health in Save the Earth is uniformly 500. There are some deviations, like Rodan has 350, Space Godzilla has 600 for some reason. Mogira has like 400. Like there's some deviation there. But for the most part it's 500. The standard in Destroy All Monsters Melee is 300.
Yeah.
So that's not a lot of health. The matches are over really quickly, and like to talk about that flow, it's like you watch it. It's a lot of like low blocking the get up attack and tech chasing,
Mm-hmm.
and like the combos are very like methodical. Like you're reacting to what your opponent is doing,
Right.
and it's like this feels like it's on the right track to like a fighting game.
Oh yeah.
Whereas Save the Earth has a ton of like unbreakable armor on all the attacks, and
Yeah.
we'll talk about Save the Earth
Yeah.
gameplay.
There's a lot more with that. Yeah.
But yeah, Destroy Monsters Melee is definitely the most entertaining game to watch and play.
Let's also not forget about the lost art of cheat codes in video games and how Destroy All Monsters Melee embraced the crap out of cheat codes. Like, not only just having the general cheat codes like invincibility, unlimited energy, and stuff like that, which I highly abused when I was a kid, but like small monster mode or like invisible monster. Like, it's the most weird, and you probably wouldn't even really want to play it like that, but it's just hilarious to see. And like Technicolor mode, black and white mode, like those were really cool. I don't think there were any others. Being able to pick up any building, like the most goofy thing is you have Godzilla, like, and you see this huge tall building that just towers him, right? And he just picks it up with no problem and he just chucks it at the monster. Like it's just like I love the cheat codes in the game, and just how, the game, yeah, you just said like what is it? Left B, if I'm thinking about the Xbox version, left trigger, B, R, let go of that, or like revert, like you let go in that reverse order, and it's just like, it pops up and you put the code in and you hear Godzilla roar if you get it right, and then he does like a grunt if you get it wrong. It's just, I love that. And I think the case that I have, the GameCube, no, it might be my Xbox version, I actually wrote, because they had a section in kids. Do you remember manuals in video games? I don't think you do. Back in the day, when you would buy a game, you would actually have the case and the artwork, but then when you'd open it, the disc actually had the game on it. You wouldn't actually have to download it. Crazy, right? But then on the side, you would also have this thing called a manual, and the manual would actually enhance your experience with the game, and it would have like tips and tricks and controls and all that. And then some games that had cheat codes, you'd go all the way to the back and there'd be a blank list for you to fill in those cheats. That's, I remember doing that. I would put all the cheat codes in the back of the booklet so that I wouldn't have to keep on, going on the internet to look at them. I could just refer to the manual. So, it just had so much, like, it was just fun. Like, that's what it was. It was just fun. Like, it wasn't, I don't know.
I thought that you were kind of like being coy and joking, and then I realized, do games not have manuals anymore?
They don't. No. No joke. Like, if you go out, and this is a little bit of a side thing, but if you go out to a store and you get like a collector's edition of a certain game, like let's say Horizon Zero or Horizon 4, whatever, the new whatever, if you go and get like these big ass like statues in the collector's edition, they say that they have, like, you'd think that you'd get a case with the disc and all that. No. They give you the case, but you open it up, it's literally just a plastic slip that has a code to redeem it on the services as a digital game.
Oh my
god.
There's here's a great example. So I have we're not
sponsored.
We're not sponsored.
affiliated.
Can we
We're
be
not spo- we're not,
can we
we're
be
not
sponsored by Dragon Ball Z by Toy Company? That'd be great.
Yeah.
Fun
Toye, you want to sponsor us? Feel free. I know they're definitely watching this. But
Totally.
we're not sponsored by Toye. But here's an example. So physical game, this and everything. You open the game and
Nothing. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's it for like every game. And manuals are online. Like
Yeah.
Yeah. And by
Yes,
the way,
yes.
I'm not sure the Xbox games. If you do buy it, I haven't bought an Xbox physical game in a while.
Yeah.
They all come on the left side. They
Yeah,
used to be
that's the
on-
weird thing
yeah.
too. They switched it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
threw
I
us
thought-
off.
I thought you were holding it upside down.
No, that's
No,
actually
no,
they
they're
flipped
on
it
the
for
left
some
side.
dumb reason. I don't know why.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't buy physical games anymore.
Yeah, I
don't
haven't
even
bought a
own
physical
console.
game in so long.
I have a computer, so I don't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that there weren't manuals anymore.
Yeah,
It's
they're all-
You
it
were
is
explaining
crazy.
it to all the kids, and I'm like, oh, he's being pretty funny right now. And
But
then I
it's
realized,
true.
wait, oh yeah, maybe he's not. Maybe
And
he's
then
not
also like I said, when you buy a game, it's complete. Nowadays, nope. Gotta wait for patches. Gotta wait
why
for
complete it? Why complete it now when you can release it and then complete it?
all the
over
beta
several
phases
months?
and everything. Yeah, but so yeah, like that. Yeah, and games too. I know we're sidetracking, but you know, games had the full game on them. You just put them in the console and it would play. But nowadays, the discs, they only hold the license code. So like it doesn't, like, the physical discs aren't really the game. That is like your access to download the digital copy.
Which defeats the purpose.
It does.
Of the
Like,
disc,
it
which
does.
is to put it in and you play it.
That's why players were very angry about when this stuff started to come out, like when digital gaming was more of a thing for consoles. Like PC, it's always been a thing, but for consoles, it was like, okay, why am I paying the same price when I don't have to pay for the manufacturing costs of the discs and the prints and all that stuff? Well, I'm just buying the game now, but why is that still $60? Like, that could be $50, but no. Anywho, that's a whole other tangent, but yeah.
And to be totally fair to modern games nowadays, they are like, the price of games has stayed the same since like 2003 or 2004 when they made it 60. Might have been a little bit later than that.
Mm-hmm.
But the effort and difficulty of making a game has gone up exponentially.
Oh yeah.
And like, because the standards of what is acceptable for like a AAA release is incredibly high, like to the point where games are going to start being $80, and people are going to be upset about that.
PS5 games are $70.
Next gen games are $70.
That's totally fair. Like, it's not like film, you know, where things stay relatively the same. Like, no, games get more difficult to make. Like, if a game requires like the same amount of time and dedication as a game from like the 90s or the early 2000s, then it's an indie game. It's $20. You know what I mean?
Right.
So things are definitely skewed towards focusing on like graphics and focusing on not the core game itself, because that's, you know, it doesn't really sell anymore, which is unfortunate.
But I will, before we move to Save the Earth, I will close that statement with, though, that even though cost of gaming has gone up, I still don't give AAA developers an ease on that, because you have indie developers that make things that are better than AAA sometimes, and they're at like $40 to $20, and so there's really no excuse, really. I feel like it's just a publisher being greedy at the end of the day.
Yeah,
that's just I don't know. That's just me, but I don't work in the industry, but I feel like that's. I don't know, if an indie dev team can do something that's just as good or better than a AAA team like EA or something, I don't know. But
yeah, that's 100% a corporate overlord studio.
Yeah. So Destroy All Monsters Melee, though, fabulous, wonderful experience, great. We'll take a little bit of a detour. Domination, like Nico, I know you haven't played it, but Zach, I know that we've played it a little bit. I like Domination. It's just it's a fun time waster. I couldn't play it for more than like an hour, though. It gets very stale really quick, but that's the point. It's a portable game, so
it's definitely, since we don't have a lot to say on it, I think this might be a fun. Do we want to talk about Unleashed Double Smash? 'Cause that
Yeah, we'll
sounds
we'll we'll get to that after Save the
We'll
Earth.
get to it?
Yeah,
Okay, okay,
yeah.
then I don't really have much to say on Domination,
Okay.
really. I think it's I don't like using the words, like, overrated, underrated. I do think it's definitely, like, people give it praise it doesn't really deserve. Like, it's fine. It's just a fun little, like, tie-in game, but
Yeah,
it's not like this, like, "Oh, man, this is, like, one of the greatest Godzilla games of all time." It's like, no,
right.
it's just, like, a fun little
It could easily
tie-in
be
game.
on like a mobile, Android or iPhone shop or Apple shop, as like a free mobile game with microtransactions or something where you just tap in the screen for which we have games like that for Godzilla. Thanks, Toho. Spending
Yeah.
money on 4 freaking mobile Godzilla games that waste your time rather than actually putting money into an actual AAA Godzilla. Anyways, that's a whole another different topic we can go on a later episode. So,
Ooh, something to talk about Domination, though, that is pretty interesting are the region differences.
yeah, well, because there was the thing with Mothra with the GMK, but then I think there's with Godzilla being gray in the
Yeah,
Japanese version,
he's
right?
the 2003. He has like the scar on his chest. He's
Yeah,
charcoal gray. In the
yeah.
American version, he's green with blue fins.
Which
Um,
weird. I don't know where he got green from.
Mechagodzilla, it's Kiryu in Japan, and it's Mechagodzilla 2. Heisei Mechagodzilla in the U.S. A lot of the
Yeah.
designs are different. Mothra is different.
Hmm.
Mothra has a different design.
I think
I
color
think
scheme too.
she's Heisei in the US version and the GMK version in Japan.
I,
Is
th-
that right?
it might be reversed. I think. I think
Maybe.
GMK in America probably because it was new. I don't know.
Oh, it might be Tokyo SOS in Japan. It might be
That's what
GMK.
it. That's right. Tokyo SOS was
Yeah.
the yeah,
So there's a lot of like
yeah.
sprite differences like that. And it's funny because you can tell obviously which one was made first because if you look at them like by comparison, the US sprites look pretty bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Like there's a lot of like you can tell where they edited the pixels of the sprites and it's kind
Yeah.
of like misaligned. It's really funny.
Well, think
That's
also about the cover
yeah.
art. America got the same cover art as the console release, but Japan decided to give it a whole unique cover.
Yeah, and
So
it is very like you should Google that right now. Like that is a very unique looking
yeah,
cover art. Whereas in America it's just the Destroy Monsters Melee,
yeah, just
which is a
him
great
punching
that's a
out
great box
Mechagodzilla.
art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's a
love that
thing
box
too.
art.
The
Yeah.
cover arts of all the games, like the Japanese
Oh
version,
yeah,
are
yeah,
so
the
much
cover arts.
better.
Yeah.
Because they're
Yeah.
like artwork, like actual cool artwork. Except for Unleashed, though. Unleashed had the same. They didn't do anything with that.
Well, Unleashed wasn't released in Japan.
Yeah. Oh.
Isn't that
Wait,
crazy?
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, Unleashed was only the US and PAL. So Unleashed never was released in Japan. Isn't
What?
that
Hold the
insane?
phone. Wait a minute. Wait a
Yeah.
minute. How did I not know?
It
I just did this I already forgot the retrospective, I guess. What? Hold on. Hold the
yeah.
phone.
I forgot
I guess
about
they didn't
that.
want it. Like, I don't know. I can't answer that, but
I
Wait a
forgot about that.
yeah.
That's so weird. I could have sworn there was a Japanese version of it.
Nope.
Whoa.
Imagine having to port your own like
Oh my god.
basically
Yeah.
your own like
It was
mascot.
only in America and Europe. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. Well, I guess yeah, Japan was
Isn't
like
that yeah, we don't want it.
they're like, get that Wii shit out of here. We don't want that. Get that.
It's and the Wii
Yeah,
is
no,
a Japanese
and
console
we is a
too.
Japanese console.
Yeah.
Nintendo.
It was like the most successful console, yeah. So
It
weird.
is very weird that
Yeah.
Japan just doesn't have that game.
Yeah.
It's probably for the
Yeah.
best.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Okay, Save the Earth. Yeah, let's go to Save the Earth. So obviously this is the one that's regarded as the best in the trilogy, but I disagree, and I think Zach disagrees. But Nico, you at the beginning of this you did say that it's not as much as your favorite like it was a couple years ago.
Yeah, no, it's not. So it, like I said, I matured a lot. And I'm along with Zach. It is nauseating to play
Mhm.
now. I have it on my emulator, and I got my emulator to emulate games running 60 frames per second,
Yeah.
and it has and in HD graphics. It looks awful.
It-
It is bad.
Textures
but-
are so
yeah.
bad in that, especially the
Yeah,
PS2 port. It's really
Yeah.
bad.
Okay.
We can talk about the PS2 port because
Oh yeah, Zach knows all about it.
I know all about it.
Yeah,
I
it
know
just
all about
wasn't
the
like
goddamn PS2 port of that game because that's what
it
Save
just
the Earth Melee is made from. Is
yeah,
the PS2
exactly. Yeah.
port.
yeah, it
Yeah.
just was.
Yeah.
Although I will admit, Save the Earth did a lot of good as well.
Oh yes, 50th anniversary
So
game for
so me being the glass cannon that I am, the game just slows down a lot more than because as soon as the battle starts, you have Gigan like shuffling back and forth and ready to guard absolutely fucking anything you throw
Oh
his
my god, the
way.
blocking in that game drives me insane.
Yes,
The AI
and
is
then
relentless with blocking.
it is like it is like Goku's Ultra Instinct. That's what all the AI have in that game. They know your every single move.
Yeah.
And it's awful. But obviously I like the power-ups. The exclusive character power-ups. Godzilla has his spiral beam. Once you get the rage power-up, Mechagodzilla 2, he keeps his all-out attacks. I thought that was really cool. And I also like the feature. I think this might be. I don't want this to get overlooked because I still think it's really cool. The weaknesses.
Yeah, they're defensive. They're different characteristics.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I love them. At the same time, I hate them. Mechagodzilla 2 is quite literally a tank in the game. Then if you're Godzilla 90s or even like Rodan and you go up against Mecha King Ghidorah, you are three-shotting him with just spam. Oh, the spamming of the special attacks is awful.
Yeah.
Because you don't need
you
a
are
full.
hitting it
You don't.
all on the head right
You
now.
do not need a full bar to get a full charge, and I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit!
Preaching to the choir.
And
I
I
hate this
mean,
game.
like
I could just imagine if Zach had his webcam on, he's just going.
yeah, it is just like if you, but like I said, like Mecha King Ghidorah, you're three hitting him with Godzilla. It does not matter. You get three to four fully charged atomic beams. He's dead.
Yeah.
And
So
that's awful. And Mothra is the same thing. If you hit Mothra with the atomic beam or anything fire related, it's over. Mothra's dead.
yeah. I would like to talk about the damage typings because I have a lot to say about this. So in Save the Earth Melee, what we've ended up doing is just completely removing that system.
Okay.
And like people hear that and they think, well, really? Like I thought they were kind of cool, and I'm like, I really tried to like keep it in any capacity that I could. Where I'm like, okay, well, what if originally it was like, well, what if every character just had one? They just had one defining trait. And then I'm like, well, it's still toxic. Well, what if like all the ones that are relevant to the gameplay of the character? What if those were in? Like Rodan could heal from fire, or like Mecha King Ghidorah had like his healing shield and damage weakness. Stuff like that. Stuff that like is relevant to the character. Still toxic, still awful. It's really cool on paper, but eventually we just concluded that like it's not fun. It's not good, and it's just
It's
an
broken.
artificial way to make characters more unique when you could be doing that with how they play as a character and what their moveset is. And um a big part of why it's so frustrating is because it means that you can never solo main a character because like let's say you want to play Jet Jaguar. Well, he has all blunt attacks. Orga and King Ghidorah have what's called extreme blunt resistance. And that means not only are they taking less damage from blunt attacks, it means they don't flinch from
Yeah, they
blunt
just
attacks.
tanks. Yeah.
Yeah, they like you can punch them and they will grab you. And that gets into the whole armor moves in general. Like, oh god, I could keep going about this game forever and I like make an itemized list of everything wrong with it. And because really, like 60 to 70% of my development time on Save the Earth Melee has been undoing design decisions.
Yeah.
Has been undoing all this stuff to make it more fun. And so I know it very well. And the typings sounds really cool on paper, but has really no redeeming qualities. And it's the worst it's ever been in Save the Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask a question too. What do you guys feel about? Okay, I know I said special abilities, but I meant rage attacks. There's actually special abilities. So like, if you hit like all R1, R2,
Mhm.
L1, and L2, you get like with King Ghidorah, he'll like use all of his energy to heal. What do you
Yeah,
guys?
he
What
has
are
a
your
heal.
opinions on that? I thought there some of them are cool, but like the King Ghidorah one, if you're playing on like a hard
Yeah.
difficulty, it
Mhm.
is awful.
I
It is so
rarely
bad
used
because
it. I rarely do
I
that.
think special abilities are really cool. I don't like how inconsistent it is. Like the Godzillas don't have one. And if you read in interviews, it's like, well, we wanted the Godzillas to be like a basic character. It's like, well, if you want to learn the game, give them a special ability so that people can learn what special abilities are.
Yeah.
So when I do the Godzilla's gameplay, and we're saving them for last, so that I just think like we need to save the Godzillas for last so we can get them as perfect as they
Oh
can be.
yeah.
Like we know all the ins and outs of what we can do with the game.
Mhm.
I'm gonna try to give them special abilities, but setting up new things is pretty tricky. Um, Special abilities are cool. Ghidorah doesn't have a heal anymore in Save the Earth Melee. It's a
Okay.
counter, so he can counter
All
incoming
right.
attacks
So
instead of heal.
let me ask you this then while we're on the topic. How about Mecha King Ghidorah? Because he just seems cannot to do anything right. Besides, he has nothing going for him in that game, in the original game, besides like the paralyzing
Mm.
missiles. Because even his special ability, he sacrifices health for energy. And besides, like maybe that energy going towards like the force field when he does block, the character has nothing going for him. So did you remove or replace his special ability, or is that still there? Is it still
Um,
a big nuisance?
Mecha King Ghidorah is currently having open heart surgery. He's like, I have no idea what to do with that character. Like, he is so poorly designed that I've had to like scrap him, rethink him, because I started him right after I did King Ghidorah, and I just didn't really know what to do. Um, what I did do that was kind of fun, which made a special ability useful, was give him next to no energy regeneration,
Mm.
and then he'd actually have to use it. Like he'd have to use a special ability. But then when we got rid of typings, and he can't heal from incoming weapon attacks, it just is a
Mhm.
shield. Like it negates them.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, now he's just taking health, and like the balancing is all whack. So I really don't know what to do with him. I really don't know what
Yeah.
to do with that special ability.
It's such a shame because I personally am a huge fan of Mecha King Ghidorah. I don't care if he's only been in one movie, but like the concept of like bringing back King Ghidorah. You've had Mechagodzilla, but Mecha King Ghidorah,
Mhm.
one of his biggest rivals, it just seems amazing. It was just amazing to me. So like, yeah, I just didn't know what the
I
insight was, and
promise
he
he will
gets
be cool.
He
he
will be
gets
cool.
done so dirty and Save the Earth,
I
so dirty.
I definitely I will say like I've worked on him quite a bit, but he's not even close to being done. And
Okay.
he does have he's been reworked in a lot of ways. And I made a new attack that I think is probably going to use a special ability input.
Mm,
Um, and that is like a shine. Like if you've played Smash, he has now like a
Mm.
reflector that's also a hitbox that he can cancel.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. It's still very like jank and in its early stages,
yeah.
but he has like a dedicated reflector. And same with Anguirus. God, Anguirus, like you cannot hit him when he's laying on the ground. You
Yeah.
can't hit him in any state. If you hit his shell, you take damage, you flinch, you take knockback or whatever. Now he has to be blocking and he has to be facing away. And all that does is just negate incoming damage. So like he takes
Mm,
nothing if you
yeah.
hit his shell. But he has a dedicated counter, like a dedicated shell counter that like it's for a set amount of time. Um, it blocks an incoming attack, and if it misses, he has a lot of end lag, so you can punish. But it's like a counter attack, and that causes like the hand hurt or the foot hurt, and
Okay.
that's like a dedicated input instead of just being a passive. And I think that's kind of what I want to strive more towards is like making these things that were previously like passive attributes that were frustrating to deal with, like dedicated inputs that in turn are more powerful. like Mecha King Ghidorah, his shield, instead of healing from something, um, well, what if he like had a reflector? What if he could like reflect projectiles instead of healing from them? That's way more interesting, I think. And that's way less frustrating to deal with because yeah, that was dumb.
Yeah.
And healing all 1-to-1 beam damage is really dumb. Yeah.
When you talked about the hand, or what, when you said hand hitting or the foot hitting, it just reminded me of the. Can we all just appreciate some of the animations, like when you get to step on the monster's feet and then he like, oh my foot, and he goes in a circle. Like
Yeah.
that was also pretty hilarious with those games. But yeah, so I mean, like with all that stuff, Zach, I mean, Save the Earth has, I would probably say it has the most amount of like in-depth mechanics, like mechanic wise. It just has a lot going for it, but execution wise, in terms of the original game, just wasn't. It just had a lot of frustrations, and it made the game feel so much sluggish. Like that's always been my complaint with Save the Earth, is that even as a kid I felt it. Like after going from Strong Monsters and I went to Save the Earth, I was like, why does this feel slower? Like there's just something about it that just feels slower, and it doesn't help that, like we talked about, the audio design being at a lower tone, like a depressed tone. Also forgot to
There's
mention,
pretty much no music.
yeah, like I forgot to
Yeah.
mention the announcer voice in Distraught Monsters Melee. Like, he's just powerful. Like he reminded me of the Halo announcer, like double kill. Like he just had this like energy to him. But like in Save the Earth, he's just, Godzilla.
No,
90.
no, that
Like
no, no, that's Unleashed. Unleashed, it's the weird
Unleashed is
Yeah.
no, Unleashed is weird. He's like, every monster he has a different way of saying it. Like he doesn't have this like style. Every monster he has a weird like way of saying their name. I'm not,
All right, we'll get to that one.
we'll
That's
get to that, but
hilarious.
yeah.
This is like kind of off topic, but I want to blow your mind with another Unleashed fact.
Oh.
The announcer for Unleashed is the spy from Team Fortress 2. Isn't that fun? And he's also
What?
whatever that character,
What?
whatever that the Gotengo pilot Admiral.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yozen from the
Gyozen.
story.
Gyozen,
That is
right?
all. Like if you listen to his voice lines, he's just doing the spy voice, and that game came out before Team Fortress 2, which is
Is
kind of
that
wacky.
Gyozen? Is his name
guy
Gyozen?
guys in or
Yeah,
something. Yeah. Oh my
Yozen. Yeah,
god.
isn't that crazy?
What the hell? That's
You can hear it
weird.
now if you
I
go and you
can hear
listen
it
to it.
now, like in my head.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
no.
I
Yeah,
don't
but
like that announcer at all,
no,
though.
I don't like the announcers in Save the Earth or Unleashed. Distraught Monster, Distraught Monster just sounded so cool, But then, like, okay, I guess in Save the Earth I was doing it wrong. It was more like this, just like deeper tone. Oh, like Godzilla 90. It just sounded weird. Like everything about Save the Earth was just a lower octave. That's how I can describe it.
And it's
Godzilla, the
weird,
lower octave
yeah,
sequel. Like
because it's the same engine, it's the same basic game,
color
but they
palette
remade everything and
is
made it worse.
grittier. Like color palette's not as vibrant. The textures are horrendous on the PS2 version, especially. I mean, Xbox it's not as bad because Xbox had like bump mapping and obviously
Yeah.
more power to it. But like, godly,
A lot of stuff was lost.
yeah.
A lot of stuff like the ambient city sounds and
Mhm.
lighting in the cities, and the cities in general just have worse layouts. Like
It's
Tokyo in
flat.
Destroy Monsters Melee is like this awesome, huge metropolis with a bunch of buildings.
Yeah.
In Tokyo, it's 90% water in Save the Earth.
Yeah, it's very flat. Everything's flat about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's the same game but worse.
it
And that
yeah.
was like their foundation. Is they re well, I mean, if we want to get into like why these things are the way that they are, especially like I want to talk about Unleashed and why
Yeah.
how that game came to be the way that it is and its ports came to be the way that it is. But Save the Earth, they worked on that game for like a year. They worked on their like GTA but with Godzilla mode. And then Atari was like, "Yeah, we don't want to do that." I was like, "Well, that's what we put all of our resources into." He's like, "Yeah, but just kind of like make a
Wow.
fighting game." So then they
Yeah.
made Save the Earth in 5 months.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you realize that,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, makes a lot of sense. That
Yeah.
makes, yeah, I understand it now. But
Before we move on from Save the Earth, I guess also the other big thing about Save the Earth was the challenges. That was like a new game mode. aside from some things also being muted, again, lower octave, the cheat codes were not as fun. There were just more of the generic cheat codes. Unlock all monsters, invincibility, unlimited energy, whatever. But the challenges were something that I never liked.
I don't. Yeah.
It was
I don't.
so frustrating to go through them during the campaign arcade ladder.
Mhm.
Every time they would pop up, I would purposefully lose them just so I could get on with it.
I don't
Like,
know anyone who doesn't immediately destroy the pyramid building.
I always do. Yeah, I'm like,
Like,
screw this.
And
Yeah.
it sucks that you can't skip them. You have to play them in action.
Yeah, that's awful.
Yep. And in the harder the difficulties, the more challenges you have to play in between the battles. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And I guess too, the unlocking, the progression is the credits. You know, it removed any sense of unlocking things through like secrets and puzzles and things like that. It was just nope, just grind, and then you can unlock the characters and artwork and levels and stuff. It's just, I didn't. No.
And Unleashed had a very.
It was mixed.
It had like a hybrid system.
It was, yeah. It took took both. We'll get into that, yeah. Because I actually think that the way Unleashed did it was actually the best. But yeah, we'll move to that one. Let's actually talk about Unleashed. Then we'll do Double Smash last, because I think Double Smash for it's yeah. So Unleashed, obviously, yeah, this is like the most controversial one. The biggest problem I've had with Unleashed for as long as I've played the game is it's just the damn controls. This game, if it was just on the Xbox or PS3 at the time, it just would have been so much better. Like, and it's funny because for the longest time too, I kind of like you, Nico, like I kind of grew up, but younger me was always, I would defend the PS2 version of Unleashed, because the only reason because I knew it was a horrible port. I knew it was trash and garbage and all that. But the only reason I liked it more was because it was at least somewhat playable, because it wasn't motion controls. It was still just button pressing and all that. But now I see it's a complete dumpster fire. But I like, yeah, I don't know. It's just those controls. And also level selection, super low, limited. I said in my retrospective that I think maybe the reason why there were less arenas was just because each arena had more detail put into it. So maybe like resource wise, they just didn't have the ability to have like over 20 plus arenas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my overall thing with Unleashed is that it had all this potential, but because it was on the Wii, just completely killed it. So
yeah. I think a good way to describe Unleashed is a lot of hard work and dedication put into areas that actively detriment the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're talking about the arenas, they are beautifully detailed, extensive, they're huge, they have a ton of like background objects, like they look beautiful. But I kind of just want to play on a normal city.
Like, yeah, like how come there could have been a flip, like a switch, like, oh, do you want to play in destroyed mode or non-destroyed mode? Like,
or
give
if
us
they were just down to the story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like just more customization, I
so
guess.
It's like all this work put into something that's kind of weird. Like, that's how the controls are too. You can feel like how much time Simon and the team spent on these characters, but it's just fundamentally off.
It is.
It's just off. Yeah.
And it's the slowest feeling game.
It is.
Yeah.
So slow. Yeah. But I don't know anything else that pops up. I mean, I have a few more things, but I want to let you guys talk more.
Anything for you, Zach?
Not for now. I want to see what the other topics are before I go off again.
Okay. All right. So Unleashed. Oh my. I agree with you guys on a lot of stuff. You know, beautiful maps. I do wish there was a non-destroyed variations of the maps. The controls. Wow. Megalon. This game is inconsistent too. So with Baragon, the way you had to dig, I think you like had to shake the nunchuck.
Yeah, you had to.
You had to actually like. With Megalon, you had to jump up in the air and then slam down with the Wiimotes, and then it's 50. It's more like a 70% chance he doesn't burrow, and
Well,
30%
yeah,
chance
because the
he does.
registration of the motion controls are horrible.
Yeah,
You can't
but
even perform half the moves you want to do.
hold on, and this is what makes him like one of the best, but like Zach, probably the best broken character you could ever play with in Unleashed. There, he can stay underground forever. You don't have to you don't have to shake
Come
him
back
to
up.
keep him.
Yeah.
You once he's burrowed, you're in there, and you can just just basically dig around. Like monsters will sit there, like circle around you as you sit in there in that same stagnant spot, and they can't do anything. And the great thing is, you could jump right back up out there, maybe get a hit in, and then dig right back down.
So
he is.
Does that mean players would do a thing where they would get the player's health lower to the point where they were lower than theirs, and then they would sink underground till the timer ran out to win? Oh my god!
Yeah. That is the funniest, most egregious timeout method I've ever seen put.
Yeah.
Is he banned from tournaments then?
No, I just don't think you can do that.
All right,
I just don't think you can time him out with that.
Yeah,
but he's broken in other ways. Like he can infinite you with his napalm.
Oh God, I can see that.
Yeah. Megalon is absolutely ridiculous, and even when I also found like another crazy thing too, with certain flying characters, like King Ghidorah, I found a way where I can just continuously climb up. Like I would just somehow trick the game. I would so basically I would jump up and fly with King Ghidorah or whatever flying monster there was. And as soon as I got to a higher ground, I would hurry up, jump, and as soon as he found a space, immediately land. If you were doing Halo or something, where you get caught on a rock for a split second, I'm like, okay, I'll jump up again and then keep flying. And I was the one point where I was at the point of the Seattle Needle, and no monsters could get me, and I'm just like, haha, you suck.
Yeah,
I'm better, and they couldn't do anything about it. There's just so many loopholes in the game itself.
Glitches, yeah.
And the beams don't do any knockback, so you can't even hit them out of the air.
Oh my god!
I will say though, when I have played with friends, and there's just constant chaos going on the entire time.
Multiplayer is just a mess. Yeah.
I'm gonna say I've never had a better time at playing a Godzilla game than
of
playing
course.
multiplayer with Godzilla Unleashed.
Yeah,
it's the best.
And it's just amazing, just because you're all equally suffering.
Yeah.
The same thing. You're doing all the motions and stuff. Godzilla's still doing his little hammer thing. Are punching super fast. Fucking Mothers is flying around.
Yeah.
Another thing. I'm so sorry. It's just hilarious. The more I think about it, oh my gosh, it's just the Mechagodzilla thing. There's no specific combos. You hold.
No, you just do it. It's just constant.
You don't have to do anything. Oh, another thing. The health thing.
Dude, I was just about to say.
It's super inconsistent too, because
God.
Biolante has full health. So if you're a Biolante user, I mean, unless you're spamming the Godzilla's heat beam, Biolante is kind of, 360 degrees. It's just.
That was the thing that bothered me, was the health system with the mechanics on how to take out an opponent. Why, in the other games, you could tap them if they have 1% health and they're dead, right? But here it's no, you have to do some kind of super move to actually take out a cell, which then actually takes out their health. They have multiple health bars. I don't like this in fighting games. Mortal Kombat did it too. They're starting to do that, or I think it was the Injustice games too. But no, just have one health bar and deplete it, and you're done. And then round two. I don't like this.
It wouldn't be bad if health didn't passively regenerate.
Oh my god, yes.
I think that just is the worst idea for a fighting game, because that is you are incentivizing camping.
Yeah.
You're incentivizing the match being 20 minutes.
Like what Nico was doing, you do the punching thing, you'd constantly go, take their health out, do one super punch, knock one cell out, constantly do it again until it goes down, and just repeat until you kill them. That's what I would always do if I played as Mechagodzilla. I would just constantly spam that attack, because that was the best move to use.
That blocking in the game was even 100 times worse, I think.
Did it even work? Because I don't even remember blocking working in that.
I mean, you could grab out of a block, like you can
Yeah.
grab, but like I just remember the AI blocking absolutely everything.
Save
If
the Earth
it,
was
it,
worse for me though
it
with blocking,
they were
but
either 100% block, they were either uh 0 DP tanks, or they were glass cannons.
right.
In Unleashed.
And the
Another
spamming of the beams with the AI.
yes.
Good
That.
God.
Yeah.
I also found it.
There's always 20 beam battles every
Yeah.
match.
Yeah.
I got two more things, and I'll pass it off to you, Chris. I'll make it very quick. So Titanosaurus in that game, pretty good, and his health, he has decent health too.
He has full bars.
He also has full bars. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know where they got that. There's like, he's tall.
I don't
Full
know.
health.
He's not
Full
even that
health,
big of
yeah.
a tank in the movie. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know what happens to him. I forget what happens. Doesn't he go back in the ocean or something?
He gets his chest blasted and he just falls off the cliff.
Okay. All right. And then one more thing. I just remembered this. If you play the PS2 version of Godzilla Unleashed, you get the weird announcer saying like Godzilla 2000. And
Yeah.
then if you're if you're playing Batra, you get Batra, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
That's
no,
what I
it's
mean.
cool,
That's
'cause
what I
it's
was trying to
spliced
say
from-
earlier.
So it
It's
makes me
spliced from an unused voice line from Save the Earth.
yeah.
where he was like,
I'm like, what the
Batra
hell?
airstrike, but
Yeah.
they cut it off, so it's just like Batra.
That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, the narrator. The narrator's so inconsistent with this one. Like I remember the like when he'd say like Violente, and then other monsters he'd be like Godzilla or this, but like there'd be some monsters where he would just have this like
He emphasizes different parts. Like he's like Godzilla, and it's like Mechagodzilla.
yeah, like that was the funniest one. I loved it when he would say Mechagodzilla.
Mechagodzilla.
It's just,
It has its own charm.
It does. It does have a charm to
yeah,
it, but it's just I always found that so weird. But yeah, I don't know. Anything else, Nico?
No.
No. Okay. There are like a few things with this game. Like I said, cheat codes. I'm bringing back the cheat code thing. Only really existing for just unlocking, like getting a bunch of credits right away, unlocking characters right away, really. But the progression with this game, like I wanted to talk about that because they mixed both versions. So you still have credits, but you would also still unlock characters through secrets. And like you said this way earlier, Nico, in the podcast, but you'd have to destroy a certain building that had roses on it, and that's how you would unlock Violante in order to purchase her. So not only would you have to do something in the game to unlock, like it would unlock the ability to buy the character than to actually play the character. So it's kind of using a combination of like Super Smash Bros, where you would like uncover the character where you'd have to fight them, but then you would have to buy them afterwards with the credits. So I also remember like one of the things, I think it was the Osaka map. There were like those green smoke was emitting from the ground. You would actually have to go up to those and stomp on them. Like you'd have to hit them like 3 times, and you'd have to go on all of them. And I think that unlocks that's like a monster unlock or something with that. But I liked the way they did that. I still don't prefer the credits though. I think just being able to do the secret is enough, and then you get to fight with the character, or you get to unlock that stuff. But I guess the other thing we haven't really mentioned a lot about the rage abilities in terms of gameplay, like the rage attacks. That's always been a staple of these games. But this one obviously had to change it up, so now everyone goes all burning Godzilla mode, and they don't really have a special move really with it.
Yeah. No, that's what really sucked about that. I do like how each monster had their
it looks cool.
Their own unique design, like Godzilla 90s turned into like they had the burning.
Had the actual burning Godzilla look. Yeah, that was cool.
I will say I like the Wheeze a lot more because you got some buff. You got a buff.
Oh yeah, no, it was a power buff. That's all it was. Yeah.
Each of the crystals was a really interesting idea. They get their own special, unique ability. So like I think like the green one is like shielded you from like atomic beams.
Yeah.
I didn't like how Godzilla, the PS2 version. I didn't like how the PS2 version handled it. Although they got like a weird red coating when you reach critical mass. If you did the roar.
Yeah.
It like red snot would just come out and would obliterate the other monster. I'm not sure if you guys. It was just
that was weird. So that game, the PS2 Unleashed, it lacks all of the features that the Wii version made that were new.
Mm.
And it also lacks all of the stuff that they cut from Save the Earth when making Unleashed. So it's just Save the Earth with less stuff. So there are no airstrikes, there are no rage attacks.
It's such
yeah,
garbage.
yeah.
It's such a
I
throwaway
think
port.
they did the health bar, I think, properly.
The health bar was
It's the
traditional.
same, no, it's mechanically like the same game, except
Yeah.
some stuff like just doesn't work. Like throws don't work.
Yeah.
None of your like
Yeah.
throws, you just fall down out of them.
That was the other
Like if you do
thing.
Obsidius's jump throw, they just like fall. They
Yeah,
fall out.
there's no gravity. It's
Oh,
just kind of
yeah.
just there's but
There's the gravity's zero. I
zero.
guess.
Yeah. The thing I did though about the Wii version though, it reminded me of the health bar was the energy. Like I did like though how you could regenerate your own energy
Mhm.
automatic.
Yeah.
Like that was cool. Like that was a nice little like while you're attacking or something, you could like recharge your stuff. I thought that was pretty
Yeah.
cool because that's like a strategy kind of thing you could use. But
Mhm.
I think in terms of like presentation though with Unleashed, I mean I know we talked about it a little earlier, but this one was like very ambitious. The story was very cool. You could go to different it's kind of like a choose your own adventure plot, but not. It's still linear though. It's not like you're doing fully different things. I mean the ending, you have multiple endings, but at the end of the day, the GDF and Earth Defender endings are basically the same. The mutants are random, and the alien one is just like, haha, we're gonna kill Earth. And that's it. I mean, it's not really that.
Yeah, one pet peeve I have with it is when you basically almost complete the entire like main storyline, you have like the side missions that don't mean anything. Like the gang ups, I hate those.
Dude, oh my god, the gang up ones suck. Because if you don't know what you're getting into, and you just get owned because
that's the worst.
Oh my god, yeah. So
nothing was worse than getting two-pieced by Gigan and Orga. That was awful.
Yeah, or Mechagodzilla and Titanosaurus.
Oh, that was awful.
On the Sydney map. I think that was one of the gang up maps.
Yeah.
That's the infamous one. Yeah.
And then the
freaking
freaking boss fight, right? I think we're
the Sydney boss fight.
Yeah,
the Crystal Tower.
Oh my god,
the most fun you can have playing that game, honestly. Yeah, hitting a tower,
and then constantly being frozen.
Yeah.
Oh my god, like I just can't.
I couldn't stand that. And then just to find out, oh, it's Space Godzilla.
Right.
Oh.
Going back though to save the Earth though, it reminded me of constantly getting frozen was the freaking tanks. Every time you try to do something and it stuns you, and thank God, Zach, you're taking that out. Yeah. But anyways, I don't really have much else for Unleashed. I mean, I've pretty much said my piece with it. It's something that I really don't think I can go back to. And I tried so hard to get it to work on actually Zach, his previous work on Godzilla Unleashed Overhaul mod. I tried to get the controller mapping to work, and it did not. It was I could not get it to work. Like all I could do was just Godzilla's this attack. That's all I could. I just like constantly hit A to do like the slapping attack and get their health low, and then just do that one, and that's all I could do.
I couldn't fix it.
Yeah, I know. I could. Yeah.
Actually, I got to some working when I did play it. When I had like the game, when I uploaded a couple videos on my channel years ago. I actually did get it to work like decently well on my Xbox. If I can find my configuration, I'll send it to you.
Oh, I have no really want to play Unleashed though.
Are you sure, man?
Oh, I'm good.
Are you positive?
I'm pretty positive.
Are you really sure, man?
After talking about it, really doesn't make me want to play it.
Well, we've been singing its praises. What do you?
You don't want to like? We have praised this. We have actually praised this game a little bit. I thought
it's the controls. It is the control. Maybe I don't know if I could play this game legitly with controller and actually be able to perform the moves, and if it did feel smoother, maybe. But otherwise, I'd rather just
not even to do overhaul, man.
No, that's what I mean. I would have to.
The controls of Unleashed were broken the moment that they decided to make the game that way in like the room when they were conceptualizing the game.
It's
like it's fundamentally just broken.
I will say though, the Unleashed overhaul looks very pretty. It makes the game look very pretty. So that's what I'll say. And the different skins are pretty cool too. So although I could not figure out how to get those installed, so I just
I did it a really long time ago. Like I said, like 5 years ago, and it's simple. But I do not remember how to do that.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
But okay, we are running a little bit low on time here, but Double Smash. Let's get to this one. So I'm gonna let Zach start because I know that he has a lot to say about it, and
Okay.
yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks. Now, hear me out. I love this game. I love this game, man. This is like, and let me explain exactly why.
Trying to
So
figure out if
there
you're
is
being
nothing
sis.
greater than I made a joke about this earlier, but like being 10 years old and staying up till 2 in the morning under your covers on the DS, listening to that music as you do like mindless button combos to break down a building, like
Oh my god,
that
yeah.
is an immaculate vibe. Like that game holds a very, very special place in my heart. And I think it gets a lot of shit, as like people say it's the absolute worst Godzilla game ever made. And I'm
That's
like,
not true though.
okay. Yeah, it gets a lot of flack for, I think now it's just like the popular game to hate on, like Godzilla's Revenge. That's like classically like the worst Godzilla movie. That's the popular Godzilla movie to hate on. But I don't think people have really like looked at it looked at it critically enough
I
to
don't
say
know.
definitively that this game is as bad as people are saying. Because it really is just like, I think it's just so fascinating because it's a product of corporate pressure from Atari on
Yeah.
Pipeworks. Because Pipeworks, like originally going into Unleashed, they wanted to make Destroy All Monsters Melee 3 or like Save the Earth 2. Like they wanted to continue the trilogy. They wanted to put it on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and it was going to be a launch title for the Wii, and it was going to just have the same controls but with more characters. It was going to be the one that everyone wanted. And then Atari was like, we want you to make a game that can only be played on the Wii, which meant motion controls. But also, we want you to put it on the PSP and the PS2 and the DS, and you have the exact same development time and budget for all of the ports. Oh, and I know that you've been working really hard on the PSP port for like 8 months, but we're going to cut it. So now scammer and make a PS2 port and a DS port as fast as you can. And then they did, and they sucked, and people hated them. But if they were any better, then the Wii version would have been worse. And then Atari releases the PS2 version of Godzilla Unleashed first. So that's the review copy everyone gets. So that is like all the work on the Wii version just gets neutered because everyone looks at the PS2 version like this is just the same game, but like
Worse.
worse with less stuff and it runs like shit. This sucks. Godzilla Unleashed is bad, and they didn't even look at like the version that is better. The Wii version's better.
It's
It's
the
the definitive
best
version of the
version,
game.
yeah.
Yeah, but the one that they actually put work into didn't get any attention. And then DS is just like at that point just a funny
Hello.
afterthought. Yeah, like it's just like a little brother, and I think it gets hated way too unfairly. I think it's awesome.
Uh,
That's my soapbox for Double Smash.
sorry. I outright hate it. I think I don't know. The art style sucks. I don't know why they had to make it this weird cell. I get it, DS hardware limitations, but this is what I mean. It's like and also corporate interference. I understand that too, but I'm just like I can't stand it when console games get a port on a handheld. This is why I'm not a handheld gamer, because every time handhelds get something that's a port of a bigger brother, it always turns out to be like a kind of a crappier version of it. I mean, sometimes it can work. Like there are some examples I think out there. I mean, I can't think of at the top of my head that work, but
Doom.
May
From like big console Doom to like the Nintendo Switch, which is intended to be like a handheld.
Well, no, see, the Switch that's still a console though. I mean, you can still put it on the big screen. It still has some big boy hardware in it. It's not like I'm talking about full blown stripped down to the little bits you can get on a little screen. I don't know, but I don't know. There was just something about Double Smash that I remember when I played it. The last time I played it was on a live stream, and I was playing like marathoning through all the games, and I just remember quitting halfway through because I just couldn't stand the gameplay. It was just so monotonous. It was more monotonous than Rampage, and Rampage gets pretty like
That's saying something.
it is because every time, and you were, I mean, I know you were joking about it, but like the buildings, every time that would come up and you had to do those button combos.
See,
why? Like,
I think I just like suffering. I see, like you're talking about how the art style sucked, but like that render of Orga with like the solid white grill teeth, like something about that, like I love how shitty it looks.
If the game actually had, if the art style, okay, fine, the way that the art style was executed with like 3D models was not a good idea. If the game was actually done with 2D sprites, like maybe traditional, like the way the concept or the, like if you go on Wikizilla, you actually see the character renders, but they're like, 2D art. It's not 3D. Like if it was maybe that way, it would have been good. And also, wasn't WayForward the guys who made the game? Actually, they actually developed it, right? Pipeworks was like more of a publisher at this point for that one.
I don't think they had much to do with it. Yeah.
Right. So, and what's interesting is actually WayForward are the guys who actually just released Dawn of Monsters, which is that's a funny little connection there. But yeah, like I don't know, it's that game is just so. The music is the only thing I like about it. Yeah, I want uncompressed versions of the soundtrack. So that's all I want.
I'm looking up like the monsters. Just like these probably bosses. You could play as Megalon, right? I forget. I forget a lot about.
I can't, but I do remember one of the bosses is a giant Egyptian statue.
Yeah, one of the Egyptian statues.
Yes,
that's one of the bosses. Wasn't there a big white gorilla?
Yeah, well, no, it's unreleased.
It was, yeah, it was. There was like the 3D model was ripped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't you fight like the Atragon or something like that too?
Yeah, that was also in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was Godzilla, Gigan, Megalon, Crystalac, and Gyris, and then the flying ones were Mothra, Ghidorah, Rodan, Batra, and Destroya.
Yeah.
And then it has like a ton of boss monsters.
Yeah, the boss monsters. Yeah, which
of very, very hilarious sizes.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I just love this game. Like this just it's so bad that it's
a guilty pleasure. It's a guilty pleasure for you. Yeah. I just can't see it. Like I don't know. It like the boss fights too. Like I remember like Mogera boss fight. Like he would do this, he'd jump around the screen, and you would have to wait for him to be in a specific spot to actually attack him. But he would jump away quickly, so you couldn't get enough hits in. So the boss fights would take like 10 minutes to do, and all you could really do is use your beam attack to attack him because you're so slow on foot trying to get to him, and he just keeps on jumping around you. I just remember being so frustrated with it. I was just like, this is not, I'm done. I'd rather play the Wii version of this because this is like,
So as I said earlier, I enjoyed this game up until I went into my 10-year-old unyielding rage. I'm never playing this game again.
Unyielding rage.
And that's exactly what happened. I've yet to touch that game since I was 10 years old. I was on a car trip with my grandparents, so that did not go over well when I'm screaming at a Godzilla game. And in the back seat at 10 years old, almost at tears, because I've worked so hard to get to the point where I was, and it's like, shit, man, you're dead. Now you gotta go back to the beginning now. Like what? Swallow my spit. Like.
See, he got so
emotional.
He got so upset.
digging up. I know it's trauma. It's a traumatizing game. But I think it has its.
Well, okay, maybe Zach, I think what you can do is after Save the Earth Melee comes out, if you could go and remake Double Smash to make it actually good, then we'll talk. But
no, because I think it'll be worse because it'll lose the charm of being bad.
Okay,
that's kind of where I'm at.
I want a good Double Smash though. Give me a good Double Smash game, and then I'll be happy.
No,
I like the concept: flying monsters, ground monsters, side scroller, beat 'em up.
All right. Let me. Here's a little delve into my psyche of why I think Unleashed Double Smash is a good game. It is preferable to sit there and do nothing for an hour than it is to play 10 minutes of Double Smash. So that is why I like it. Like that's how bad it is. Like it's not bad in the same way that like Generations is bad, where it's like it's pretty fun.
See, I like Generations. See, I'm on the
wait.
flip.
So
Okay, well let me hold on. Let me save face here. Like Generations is a lot of fun, but it's like
It's
like
janky.
someone who doesn't like Godzilla is gonna look at it and say this game sucks.
Yeah,
They're
it's
gonna make
janky as all. Yeah.
Another game would be like Godzilla 2 on the NES, or
No,
like
that's just
forgettable game.
I would
Game Boy
rather play
game,
Double
right?
Smash.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Double Smash has its own like shitty personality where it's so bad that it's good. Like it's not just a forgettable bad Godzilla game. It is an outstandingly bad Godzilla game.
So
That's why I love it.
I'm picking up the vibe that it's kind of like the Godzilla's Revenge. So bad that it's good.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I like Godzilla's Revenge too. I don't know.
As I've grown, Revenge is fun to me.
It is not the worst Godzilla movie ever made.
Yeah, I don't hate it as much.
James Rolfe said it was the worst Godzilla movie ever made 14 years ago, and people have been saying it ever since.
Yeah,
It
pretty
is.
much.
It's so bad that it's good.
I
It
honestly,
is.
I
actually don't think it's even that bad. I think Ishiro Honda did a fine job.
I honestly think
what he
that
had to work with.
the Sea Monster is worse of a film. To me,
You know
that's like
what?
the worst film.
Raids Again to me is awful.
Oh well, Raids Again sucks.
I think Raids Again's the worst.
I'm
That might-
surprised
that
it
might
didn't
be
kill
right.
the franchise. Really, I mean, sequel. Think about it. It's like if Halo 2 came out and it just was bad. Like it would have killed Halo, right? But no, Godzilla. It could have killed the franchise.
I feel like this could be a whole other topic.
This could be a whole other topic. Yeah.
Yeah, for another.
We are-
Yeah,
we
we'll
are
be
over
back.
the-
We'll have a fun discussion.
We are over the 2-hour mark, so we will have to end it here, but because we don't want it to go too long. But any final statements on the whole Atari Pipeworks trilogy, Nico?
All I'm gonna say is that if we have any time travelers, I'm gonna look in the camera too. If we have any time travelers watching this podcast right now, you go back to the days of Godzilla Unleashed when they're doing the fans missions. You put Kudajira in there, and we'll be golden. But make sure you put Kenshin Studios did it too, though. And that we own it.
But we didn't exist yet, so how would...
So I think Pipeworks would own Kudajira.
No,
because
we
your entire
hand
timeline
the
would be
contract
shattered.
over at that point.
Be on the streets.
So are we
Have no
going?
Kenshin.
Are we going through a portal and then like handing them a contract
Yes.
from like
Yes, we
the
are.
future?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay.
So we have like a
You thought this
DeLorean.
through.
Okay, we have a
You've
DeLorean. we
dedicated a
go-
lot of time to think. Of
Yeah.
yeah. This isn't just an off the cuff thing. Yeah.
Kenshin Studios, we got plans.
Yeah. No, and then I do think Godzilla Unleashed, the Wii version, is incredibly fun multiplayer because other people are suffering with you, and just the unpredictability of what the hell's gonna happen next is amazing. But I will say the best Godzilla game is probably Destroy All Monsters.
I agree. I think
I agree
overall
too.
this is the Godzilla Pipeworks trilogy is definitely the best Godzilla has ever been in games.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're aside from Destroy All Monsters Melee, I don't think that they're particularly good games at all. Just
Not really.
just thinking just sort of in general when it comes to games, but I do think Destroy All Monsters Melee that is such an iconic game that even non-Godzilla fans are like, "Oh yeah, I remember that game. I rented it."
No,
a
it's
lot."
on YouTube.
It's
There's
not
a
fun.
bunch of non-Godzilla YouTubers and people, reviewers and personalities that are talking about it.
Yeah, it's nostalgic.
It's
That
AAA.
is, yeah, that was a big game.
Yeah.
It did really well.
It's not.
And
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think that's the best one of the three.
Yeah. I always look at the Pipeworks trilogy as a series that unfortunately degraded as it went on, but it still managed to be successful as it went. As weird as that sounds, it did quality wise get worse, but at the same time it kept on going up, and it kept on becoming the cornerstone of what people have wanted a Godzilla game for the longest time. And it just seems like Toho is so blind to oh no, let's just do mobile games and microtransactions and time wasters and stuff like that. I don't know what's going on with Toho, but it's Destroy All Monsters Melee has stood the test of time. That game to me honestly will never be dated until Save the Earth Melee comes out.
Yeah.
Then I guarantee that game will be the best, because it's the best of everything that this trilogy has had to give us in one game, one package. Is going to be awesome. So
removed the worst.
And removed the worst, yes. Kept the good,
Yeah.
but took out the bad. And that's what we're gonna end on. So yeah. Well, thank you, Zach, for being a guest on this episode. You were the perfect guest for this topic, and also really a lot of good insights onto some of the deeper mechanics that some players might not know of, because you're actually part of the developing, the inner workings with those games. So thank you for that. And once again, how can people follow you, support whatever you're doing?
Yeah, well, thanks for bringing me on here. This was a lot of fun. It was a very good discussion. It was really nice to meet you, Nico. You're a pretty cool dude, pretty chill.
He is a pretty cool dude, yeah.
You can follow me again primarily on Twitter, and the @ is Godzilla STE. I don't know how we landed that. And then you can go to our Discord, just join it and mute it. That's all you have to do. If you just join it and mute it, you can check in every so often, look at the channel STEM Talk. I'm in there all the time, just talking about the game, new mechanics, maybe showing some screenshots, stuff that you won't see on Twitter or my YouTube. Again, my YouTube is Gojirex. But that's whatever. I post other stuff on there that's not Save the Earth Melee related. So if you just want the updates, Twitter, Discord, and you're good. You'll get everything.
Awesome.
And if this says anything, if this influences anyone to join the Discord, I am part of the Discord. I joined.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's good.
You can talk to him. Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's all, we're all on the Discord, so it's good. It's a happening place. So yeah, well, thank you guys so much for watching this this 4th episode of the podcast. Once again, we are going to try to do this once a month on top of the other stuff that is going on in the studio. Currently, as you are, well, let's see, today is Friday. What is it? What are we on now?
22nd.
22nd, yes, my God. We are currently in the midst of doing a lot of pre-production work and stuff on Kenshin Chaos. So we are busy at the studio, but we are going to try to get these once a month with a guest for each of them, depending on what the topic is. So we will see you guys next month for hopefully the next podcast. And that will do it. Also, post in the comments which Godzilla game is your favorite in the Pipeworks trilogy. And let's start a conversation in the comments. Okay, let's do that. Cool. That'll do it for this episode, podcast number 4. See you guys later.
Later.
See ya.